Which animal did not attend? The elephant, because it's in there. Awesome. You guys are a good crowd. Okay. So a girl is crossing the river, and the river is crocodile infested. And she still crossed. How did she do that? The crocodiles were in the meeting. But eventually she died. How did she die? The brick fell on her head. Your seats, ladies and gentlemen. And first of all, please, for the sake of time, for the sake of time, first of all, to appreciate our panel, they sat almost before everybody else. Guys, clap for them. Timekeepers. On my far left is my good friend Brelov. Forgive me, I'm from the area, so the pronunciation may not come out well, at least professionals. And then we have Sheena. Hey. Forgive me. Raiku. I got it right. Thank you very much. She's the CG Kuza 1. And then we have Laila Mashpen Initiative Africa, who will be our moderator today. And thank you for keeping time once again. What we are going to do briefly, where are the ushers? We would like to ask all the people standing outside to just sit, because we are going to try. After this breakout session, we will have sessions separately, one here and another that we are going to give you direction on. So thank you so much. Laila, take it away.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Old friends and new acquaintances, but such a pleasure in this panel with two good old friends too, with whom we discuss these issues all the time. So quite a pleasure. So this panel is going to be about work, and especially the way new technologies are disrupting the workplace. And I'll start with the panelists and say, so Paul, we can start with you. What is the future of work now, especially in this African context and specifically in the startup context?
Am I audible? Yeah, there we go. Very big question. CEO and co-founder of Shortlist. Shortlist exists to solve human capital challenges to drive impact and innovation across Africa. Half our business is executive search. Given time, we're placing 80 to 90 senior leaders into full-time positions across Africa with 26 search consultants in 10 countries. Futures is a fusion lab committed to getting more Africans are working and earning across Africa, and I'll probably talk a little bit about today. Future of work in Africa, I mean, it's a big question, and could go the way we think about it. How do we work, create the most opportunity, economic opportunity for as many people as possible? So I think as I think about future of work, I jump to what are the drivers of change and opportunity that are afoot right now on the continent, and for Kenya, of course. And I think we organize our work and think about the future along four dimensions: climate, and I think in particular trying to see the ways that only and Africa can not only benefit from some of the green growth potential on the continent, but actually in some ways perhaps be an answer to global carbon emissions problems. I mean, Africa is only 3% of global. The combination of renewable resources, human capital density, and natural resources. I actually think there's ways in which a lot of the carbon-intensive industries around the world could shift here and actually be kind of a win-win in terms of saving the planet. So creating a ton of jobs and economic opportunity in the process. AI, we're going to talk more about. I think AI is going to create the best of times and the worst of times simultaneously. We'll get into that, I think, a little bit more. Entrepreneurship, I'm thinking more about the way that Africa's industrial and economic structure can shift more from a huge number of informal, tiny enterprises into a more robust, thriving, growing small business sector. And then we are starting to think more about the reality of migration and the need to make more safe, high earning, skilled pathways and corridors, and more of a, not brain drain, but brain circulation, as the rest of, a lot of the rich world is aging and workforces are shrinking. How can Kenya, how can Africa, folks that want those opportunities access those in a more efficient, safe way? So I know we're getting into a lot of themes there, but yeah, wild future ahead.
Yeah, yeah. Sheena.
Great question. And so my name's Sheena, and I've just joined, I keep saying just, but it's been a year, and I've made the shift, and I've joined an ag tech called Kuza Biashara. And basically, Kuza Biashara means grow your business. And for me, I truly believe, and this is one of the reasons why I joined, is I actually believe that the future of jobs, the future here is not a popular opinion, but I think it's in the agriculture sector and in rural areas. I think a lot of the times we really focus on cities and Nairobi and, in Kenya, Nairobi, but actually there's a lot of potential in the agriculture sector. Now, when I say agriculture sector, everybody's mind probably just went to mama farmer that we see, with like a, I don't know, shamba and a bag and she's bent over. That's not what I mean by agriculture. That's not where I see the future of the world. I see it in agribusiness. I actually see the future of jobs coming from agripreneurs, agribusiness across the value chain. So, and it starts, and I think, and what I love about it is I'm a big believer in tech-enabled. So I think tech-enabled agribusiness is where I see it, because a lot of the challenges in agriculture have been, I think, firstly, just because of a lack of information asymmetry. Farmers don't know what to grow. We don't know what the market wants. We don't know what we should be growing when. And that's the farmer side. The private sector side is even worse, right? We're so busy talking about farmers. Did you know that in Kenya, the majority of the processors operate at less than 40% capacity? Imagine having a manufacturing plant, or imagine starting a business and you're only at 40%. Now, that's huge potential. So that's where I see jobs in the rural areas, actually. And my dream, and I think with technology this is possible, decentralized manufacturing. Imagine like a small processing plant at every hub. What that then leads to is what we like to call indirect jobs. That's your packaging, your branding, your marketing, your data AI advisory, all of that stuff then comes into place. What the vision then that happens is, imagine Kenyan, African products, right? In every supermarket in the world. Right? This is not the processed crap that we get from the West. Apologies to people who enjoy processed crap, including myself. But this is good thing. This is something that we can create that's nutritional, that's a real niche, right? People like gluten-free stuff. Most of Africa's traditional grains, gluten-free. So lots of opportunities. And again, not just in the agri. When I talk about agribusiness, it's also agri-industrialization. So that's where I see the opportunity.
So for you, the future of work is really in this value add, moving things up the value chain in more traditional industries as well. So let's then move on to the topic that's on many of our minds and that we worry a lot about, which is AI, artificial intelligence, AGI, generative, and the others. How do you think that this is affecting how companies operate, and how are you seeing this play out specifically in your own experience? Theory is one thing, but it would be good to know if some of the things that were predicted are coming true, or what you really think about AI's impact on the ground. Paul first.
Yeah, I mean, AI is something, obviously, I think we're all thinking a lot about. And I know we're thinking about it both from the standpoint of how do we realize opportunities and avoid the risks to our business, but very much what are the impacts going to be on the issue we care about the most, which is how do we get the most people working as possible. So as many of you know, Africa's workforce is growing faster than anywhere else. 11 million people enter every year on the continent for 3 million jobs. I think one of the areas we've been paying a lot of attention to is how will the emergence of AI and its capabilities to do kind of cognitive knowledge work, how does that replace particularly junior folks who are just trying to get onto career ladders or skill ladders in different digital domains? How does that kind of like take away or impact those jobs? So I think we've been trying to give a lot more thought to where are the enduring, is a weird way to think, but where are the enduring competitive advantages for humanity against machines. Like machines are swiftly taking over manual labor, and I think like AI will only accelerate the utility and cost curve of robotics and things like that. Knowledge is now under threat, which is terrifying. I think if you're older, myself, gray hair, like you're probably pretty safe, at least for now, because there's still this need for kind of like this interpretive layer or certain kind of client handling or whatever. I think if you're below a certain age, it's scarier times just because companies are seeing it as more worthwhile to invest in getting kind of an LLM up the curve to do the work than invest in mentoring you, apprenticeships, that sort of thing. So I think we're very much focused on kind of where will those opportunities come from. I do think there's ongoing opportunities in kind of like the relational layer of labor. I think in like taste and aesthetics and design and areas like that, where we want someone to kind of curate and manage AI. We're also looking at like where are the positive examples, and I think yeah, I'll just mention a couple that I do think we're already seeing emerge. One is one of the magical bonuses of AI is that it can take people who are relatively junior, novice, mediocre at something and get them up to world class incredibly quickly. I don't think this is necessarily going to work for millions and millions of workers a year, but I do think there's going to be a significant subset that are able to just leapfrog the abilities of kind of like stable, linearly growing humans in different fields and win in the global market. And I think the benefit of us now all working in some degree, or at least the opportunity to work in a more flattened digital global world, is I think there's going to be people who feel like they're pretty darn good at something, who in a matter of months or years are getting outcompeted by someone who's figured out how to use AI much better. I do think we're seeing that already. We're seeing companies in our orbit, clients, et cetera, who are thinking less and less about like roles within companies, like I need to hire this full-time person for something, and they're more thinking about like tasks or workflows that need to be done. How do we break those out? What do we assign to humans? What do we assign to machines? People have probably heard the phrase like human in the loop. I think we're seeing a lot more people thinking not, I need to hire a marketing manager or a comms manager, and saying, hey, how do I blend a human and some like custom LLM or software to do this instead? We've also launched a fund with Gates Foundation called the Gender, AI, and Livelihoods Fund. It's called GALE. Where we're also looking for positive use cases where AI can drive women's income gains across the continent. So one of the areas we're looking at the most is how can AI drive genuine, real, immediate income gains by helping female-owned microenterprises, solopreneurs run their businesses better, reach out to customers better, buy more efficiently, inventory, access credit more efficiently, manage their household expenses, get mentorship and coaching that's world-class, but in their pocket. So I do think, like I said, best of times and worst of times, we're seeing like reasons to be super excited, but also some things we're really scared of.
There's so much there, and we're going to drill down into many of the points that we made, but I'm just going to give Sheena a chance. When you think about AI in your segment, what you described as modernizing the agricultural space particularly, how do you see AI playing out in your day-to-day work?
Yeah, so already I think we've just got real life examples here. So in Africa, for example, when I look at different areas like agriculture, health, the problem is we're never going to have enough health professionals, right? And in the rural areas, as soon as you've kind of got like a medical degree or doctor, you know, you'll be called to Nairobi. Same thing when we look about teachers, educators, doctors, nurses, and then in the agriculture space, like there's not even a single person that I can say. When I talk about schools, you think teachers. When I talk about hospitals, you think doctors. When I talk about farms, who do we have? There's not like that kind of person, and yet farms, they feed the whole world, right? So the way I see it is AI, and we're seeing it already in agriculture, becomes a really helpful tool because you get, and this is going to sound like a paradox, mass customization. So to give you an idea, in a rural area in Kenya, for example, if this is an area of land, each type of soil every 3-4 meters might be different. But with AI, we can actually give you personal customization to say what you should grow, when you should grow, how you should grow it, right? The other thing we can do with AI is try and understand the market demand. So what's in demand in this area? What's being sold in this area? So what you start to do is you're actually starting to get demand, which is invisible, brought to the light. And when that happens, and if you can ensure that matching of demand, match serviceable demand and supply, that's when all the other jobs can come through. So what I'm saying is similar to Paul. There's a lot of things that worry me about AI, and I'll talk to it. But there are a lot of positives that can come, because I don't think we're going to follow the same path as the West, right? We're going to have to create our own path. And for that, I think AI in these traditional sectors has to be thought about differently, can be huge game changers. So one of the ways that we work is through agripreneurs, who are young rural youth entrepreneurs. So one of the things that they find that they love about Kuza is we have this AI gamified mentorship. So it's like personalized, their learning in their agripreneur career is personalized based on what they want. Now, as a human, as a teacher, as an in-person mentor that I do, there are things that I do better, but there are definitely things that this AI mentor does way better than me. So again, that model. But my fear, and I'll just end with that one fear, is there is no AI without data. And I really worry, as Africa, as a continent, we keep talking about AI, but half our data isn't, we are a storytelling culture. It's not even digitized. How is for an AI, they will just become invisible. So for example, there's some amazing traditional practices, right, that our grandparents may have told us, right? Those are not captured. So when you think about good agricultural practices, our traditional practices are already lost. So I think more, if we really want AI to work for Africa, we need to build the data, the local languages, because otherwise we're just going to be invisible.
Okay, so much there. So let's talk a bit more and double click on this idea of winners and losers. So Paul, you said gray hairs win, relational wins. You said physical labor is a loser.
For now.
A young, maybe early stage talent where you don't have a lot of experience is a loser, but you talked about an exception, and I'd like us to just understand that a little bit better. You said that there's some cases where AI can actually fill the gap for maybe a young or less experienced person to come off or deliver as if they had more experience. Say more about that.
Yeah, I think, I don't know the age range in the group, but I think it's a wild time to be in your early 20s, maybe even mid 20s, because as well as at every age, I think we're at this weird moment where like no one really knows what the economy will value in 10 or 15 years. So it's hard to even know what track to get on or what things to learn. But one thing I've been encouraged by is the capacity for AI to turn low-skilled and mediocre-skilled folks into world-class very quickly. So this is probably not the best example, but one of the data points it comes from the consultancy BCG, where they basically like gave a bunch of Gen AI, and this must be almost 2 years old now. And they basically told one group like you can't use it, like just do the project. And they told another group you have to use it. And what they found was in both groups, the people that were already super high performers did about the same. Interestingly, the people that were very high performers did a little bit worse on the project using AI, maybe because it was just so unfamiliar or whatever. What was amazing though is like the low performers without AI were still way lower performers than performers, but the low performers that were using AI were as good and in many cases better than the other folks. And so the opportunity, if you think about where we are in a skills development curve, than just a youth curve with so many people entering the workforce, I take that as an opportunity for, there's going to be a bunch of lazy like mid-career talent out there. There is this interesting opportunity for folks who are really ambitious, who are getting out there and learning to actually like figure out what jobs need to be done, like what are the tasks, what are the outcomes we need to get to, and just figure out what tools do I need to stitch together to get this done like way faster. And so this turbocharged young person could actually compete with anyone in the world and beat anyone in the world. So I think we're excited about that possibility. That will take a lot of hustle. There is not a course to take for that. Like we get sometimes asked at shortlist, it's like, yeah, what's the AI course you'd recommend? And I'm speaking out of turn here. I'm not an expert on this, but my general response is don't go take a course. Just go figure out whatever area you want to have an impact in and just start playing. Just start doing things with the different tools, see how they fit together, watch YouTube videos. And like your measure is like, are you making things, are you getting things done? And is the output like getting better and better each time? And so it's way more something that needs to be practiced than get kind of like ingested via like a classroom course right now.
So I'm the chair of the Africa Digital Media Institute, where we work with young people who are doing content creation. And the disruption that we're seeing in this field, like what it used to be to do graphic design or to make a movie, AI is disrupting, and I'm talking about week by week, right? It's just the shock to the system about how things are changing. And one of the things that I've discovered is when you look at young talent especially, it's not even a skill, it's more a mindset. And the people who I'm seeing succeeding at this are people who learn very quickly, are very kind of field agnostic. It's almost like you don't think of yourself as an IT person or an HR person, or you're just a learner and you're a problem solver and you're able to go online and learn really quickly and try and solve the problem for your employer or your client. And that thing, I don't know what we're going to call it, but maybe in some months or years, we'll have a name for it. Because it looks to me like that secret ingredient that's really moving the needle. What are you finding, Sheena, in this area?
No, I think completely similar. I sometimes think that I don't think it's going to be AI that takes our job, but it's somebody who knows how to use AI that's going to take our job. And I'll be honest, like I now use AI and I feel like in some ways, yeah, it's making me a lot better, like, churning out presentations and doing things. I love it. In other ways, I'm actually thinking like it's making me like super lazy. Like I'll now my first port of call would be not to read that document, but actually, get AI or something to summarize it. It's a bit of a problem because if we start using that ability to actually do the hard, boring stuff, it actually helps us think. So another thing that I was looking at is your AI, sort of the quality of the work of your AI depends on your prompting skills. So now there's all these, courses and cheat sheets on like how to prompt and how to do this. So I think I agree that I think there is an opportunity, but again, in Africa, in the African context, in the rural context, which is where again I think the majority of the people are and stuff, I see it as if done right, huge opportunity to actually create more and better jobs, but not tech jobs. I don't think AI necessarily will lead to more tech jobs, but it could potentially solve these really hard problems of, agri matching and health and stuff to create the other jobs, which are the beneficiary, which I know sounds a bit, but if AI can solve these problems, actually, we're going to create a whole bunch of other jobs, maybe set up a manufacturing plant and do this and these, which will, which is an unintended consequence, which I think will only happen really here.
Okay, that's a good segue into, now what are some of the recommendations in light of where we're working in all our spaces that we have for different groups? So first I would ask you, Paul, what do you think that hiring managers or recruiters need to think about in this space or in general, in light of all the disruption that you're seeing?
I think there's actually changes happening above that that will impact recruiters, because I think what we're starting to see is, and this can be HR, but it's oftentimes like a strategy officer, a COO or something. People are getting away from just these role designations and getting into kind of jobs to be done and reorganizing workflows and reorganizing departments and all of that. I think it's a crazy time for recruiters, because I think recruiters are now getting thrown the challenge, not get me a marketing manager with 3 to 7 years experience in this budget range with whatever, but they're like, get me somebody who can like build and manage a content creation engine that uses LLMs with this kind of budget and whatever. And a lot of this is now shifting towards kind of like breaking up and kind of like breaking up the value chain of how work's done, what the roles look like. So I think HR folks need to think much more at a workflow level. They have to think much more at a task level, what needs to get done. I think we're going to see a lot more part-time work, a lot more fractional work. People who maybe work a day a week in a certain role for a long period of time and are split across several companies. So I think it's going to make it harder. To the extent there's common denominators, I do think, I don't know the term either for what you're getting at. Maybe it's like something like beginner's mindset or something like, or growth mindset or something. But I think more and more, you're going to have to hire people to not just know something, but have the kind of mindset and disposition that they're going to figure out how to do it better. That they're not accepting the status quo, but they're more like, cool, how can I end run this whole thing and do it better? So yeah, I think it's going to be strange times for recruiters. I know for our business, I don't see the recruitment field that we work in being disrupted yet in a bad way. It could happen. I think what we're seeing right now is ways that our workflows as recruiters are changing. We're using a lot more AI for the initial profile sourcing. We're using a lot of AI for kind of managing relationships and back and forth with candidates and clients. We're using it to kind of summarize and draw better data and populate our database with better data from our interactions with candidates. So there's like a lot of places, and a lot of this stuff was stuff that we used to have junior people kind of sit, transcribe, move one record from one place to another place. And I'm almost sad as someone who cares about job creation, that's like, we do see very near term that it's like, we'll be hiring less people for these jobs, because we can see that one person's now doing twice the work with AI.
With AI, okay. Sheena, for you, let's talk about policy. In light of all of this that we're talking about, from your viewpoint, you've got a rich background as a lawyer, you've worked in government, development practitioner. If you bring this all together, what do you think are some policy headlines you think we could maybe look at in light of all these changes? What is some advice you could give us?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great question. So first, I think, is around the data piece, right? So although I said earlier, we don't have data, actually, there's a lot of data sitting in government. It's just not accessible. So I think we need to start looking at, everyone's talking about AI policies. Kenya's got an AI policy, AI strategy, Africa, AU. There's a lot of strategies and policies which are important. But I think before you get to the AI policy and the AI strategy, let's have a strategy, which is not just data protection, by the way. I'm talking about data protection, super important, but I'm talking about like data governance, data sharing. How do you get all this data sitting, in government databases, et cetera, accessible? So I think the first policy would be around that. And the second one, I think, would be around, there is the bit that Paul mentioned, is there's that AI opportunity, which is in the upskilling. When we talk about Africa being the world's workforce, I mean, that's a fact, right? We have the youngest growing population. The world is aging. Generally, younger people are just better at technology and more curious than the older people are. So we have a huge opportunity to be the world's workforce. But that's going to take some, real policy decisions, whether it's around, BPO centers and things like that. But it's going to take a lot of thought. It's going to take a lot of intentionality. So I think we need to look at that work, the governance, because the reality is right now, we have this definition of jobs, 9 to 5. Ask any young person, they're talking about gig economy. And, we can't force fit the policy into what we think a good job or a good thing should look like. And the third point, I think, is around, we keep talking about AI, but there's a huge electricity cost to HI. As a continent who's, underpowered, we don't even have electricity for like running basic things. The amount of energy that AI uses is huge. So Paul had earlier mentioned, we need to get the dirty coal energies here. But I think a huge opportunity is to set up green AI, with our geothermal and solar and stuff. And then what you're doing is actually creating green AI, which would be huge in terms of creating jobs, but also having affordable AI for us. Yeah.
So some policy priorities. So we've heard about 3 pillars. This is for our audience. So one is, what is the mindset you need as an individual when you're facing the future of work? And we're talking about this special something. This is about learning, right? More of a learning mindset all the time. I'm expecting daily disruption. We've said that if you're in the HR field, it's thinking beyond job descriptions, job roles, into being able to break down deliverables, right? And results into tasks. And how do you then translate that when you're searching for people, right? And trying to fill a role. On the policy, there's the side which is the AI policy, the data, the infrastructure, everything we've talked about, energy. And on the other side, really the talent side and making sure that we're skilled up as a continent for AI. So we hope those will take away some pointers that you can think about and learn about more as our audience. But as we close, I'm getting signals from the side. One parting shot. We'll start with you, Paul, then Sheena, and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah, it's an exciting future ahead. Like I said, best of times, worst of times. Let's do our best to make it the best.
Yeah. Don't knock agribusiness. The future of work and jobs is going to be in the rural areas, and yeah, we'll make loads of jobs, lots of money, and you'll all move in the rural areas with us.
And for me, it's that everything we knew to be true is being challenged. This is your opportunity to remake yourself, remake your work, remake your business. It's disruption, but it's also opportunity. Wishing you all the best. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. I think we can do a better job. Thank you very much. And one of the things I've noticed about this panel is that you're flawless. There's a lot of flow in what you're saying. Before you leave, would like you to just stand. Where is the cameraman? So that we can take a quick photo. I think the video guys can still just stand here and then we can take a quick one with the video. I think the cameraman has gone to do something. All right? Cameraman, are you ready? Please hurry. You know, I was telling him nowadays cameramen are not as fun. They used to prepare you and count to 3 and then click and then say it is good. So cameraman, please talk to us. Okay. That is Paul, Sheena, and Laila. Thank you so much. Thank you so much even for challenging us. How many of us here use social media? Instagram? And you've seen that annoying video that keeps coming up. Are you above 40 and ignoring AI? Have you come across that video? And I'll tell you, for the first time, I was so challenged that even whatever business I do, it grew through TikTok. Money Gossip has grown through TikTok. So a quick announcement before we receive our guest. Those of us who are pitching today, please make sure you've given your final edited pitch to our guys in the tech team so that there is a flow after this, and then I'll also guide you on where you're going for the breakout session. All right. And no further ado, joining us, we have the privilege of our chief guest. Ladies and gentlemen, it would be nice if we give them a nice clap. And without wasting much time, would like to invite Dr. Tony to come and invite the PS. Please don't get tired of clapping for Dr. Tony. Thank you so much.
Thanks, our PS, many friends and partners that we've been together the whole morning, the whole day. We now have an opportunity to host our PS for some remarks and indirectly to officially open the festival. He couldn't make it in the morning. Of course, he'll explain why he couldn't. There was a requirement for him to participate in a PS function. And then he said he has to pass by here. Now, I must say something special about him before he comes up. One, he headed this sector before we had the 3 institutions, the Kenya National Innovation Agency, the National Commission, as well as the National Research Fund, which means he understands the space. Then, of course, he worked as a vice chancellor before, and then he worked at the Atomic Agency in Geneva, and then has been appointed as a PS. One unique thing is that this is the first time we have a State Department for Science, Research, and Innovation. And I think we have a reason to celebrate that one. And second, we could not have gotten a better person as somebody who has already played in that ecosystem in even shaping those institutions and then practicing in that area. And for me, it's been a tough journey trying to mainstream innovation in the ecosystem, and sometimes it feels lonely. But I've had the opportunity to interact with Professor Shaukat, and I can tell I have an ally that we can work together and try to push this thing forward. So PS, please, Karibu, and may you address and officially open this conference.
Thank you very much, CEO Tony. First and foremost, my sincere apology, friends and colleagues. I was not able to join you this morning because we had, as Tony said, PS's meeting and I had to be there. Nevertheless, let me take this opportunity to recognize each one of you, of course, being led by one of our own, Tony, the Chief Executive Officer of Kenya, the development partners who are present in this meeting, the private sector representative, inventors, startup ecosystems, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, good afternoon. It is my distinct pleasure to join you today at this inaugural Kenya Startup Festival, a pivotal platform designed to celebrate the incredible energy and creativity of our startup community. I commend Kenya and all partners for bringing together the full ecosystem with a greater intention and purpose. Kenya is at a unique moment in its innovation journey, witnessing increasing demand, both locally and globally, for African-led solution. The work we undertake here to shape our startup landscape will undoubtedly define Kenya's economy competitiveness for years to come. Our goal is to forge an entire system that supports our innovation blueprint for competing on the global stage. This festival directly contributes to the ambitious bottom-up transformative agenda of our national framework for transformation, and especially its 5 critical pillars. I'm going to speak very briefly about these 3 pillars, because this morning, when I was listening to my colleagues, the PSAs, each one of them was standing, speaking about their sector. They were talking about agriculture, they were speaking about housing, they were talking about small, medium enterprises, and so on and so forth. And one thing that I said in that meeting was, in all this, there is science, there is research, and above all, there is innovation. So from here, we would like to continue interrogating this space and continue with that conversation with them. Friends and colleagues, micro and small medium enterprise is a pillar, lies at the very heart of the Kenyan Startup Festival. Our startups are engine of our SMEs economy, creating jobs and driving innovation. The startup bill, which passed by Senate, Bill number 14 of 2022, provides a structural legal framework defining startup accelerators and incubators, and introduces crucial physical and non-physical incentives such as tax reliefs, grants, and access to government procurement opportunities. So you can see in this bill there are greater opportunities for us to drive in and be able to collaborate and cooperate and be able to benefit out of this. This bill, alongside the best practice like strengthening access to diverse funding mechanism, including matching funds for venture capital and exploring alternative capital sources, if enacted, will significantly bolster our MSMEs and empower them to scale on the global stage. Crucially, the robust engagement of development partners and the commitment to public-private partnership sector are vital for unlocking critical resources and expertise that we can fuel in this growth. And this is very important. As we say, the government, we cannot do everything by ourselves. We will be able to continue creating that enabling environment so that the private sector can be able to jump in and be able to also complement the efforts that the government is doing. It's all about building synergies and collaboration. And I see you as our private sector, our developing partners, coming handy so that we can be able to drive this agenda together. Secondly, looking at the digital superhighway and creative economy, a robust digital superhighway is the bedrock of our innovation ecosystem. This festival has the potential of highlighting crucial areas of fintech, AI, and blockchain that emphasizes the foundational role of strong digital infrastructure, including high-speed internet, secure data system, and broad digital access across all counties. The startup bill also has provision for expedited intellectual property right. This is very, very important. This is some of the questions that I was posing to my younger colleagues outside there and professors, whether their prototype have been protected using intellectual property rights. Because we know even in this country, history tells us that we've lost quite a number of inventions and innovations here because we were not able to sort of patent it as well. And some of the good examples that are known globally is an M-Pesa. That Kenya is well known that we are really leading when it comes to this digital banking, so to speak. So this is an excellent example that we can be able to take so that we can be able to do more in that space. Furthermore, our efforts to attract global talent, evidenced by initiatives like Digital Nomad Visa, will enrich our digital ecosystem, while creative economy is not explicitly a breakout theme. The emphasis of intellectual property right, digital transformation, and nurturing talent creates fertile ground for this vital sector to thrive. Agriculture transformation and inclusive growth. You know very well that agriculture is the backbone of the Kenyan economy. We are producing the best coffee in the world, the best tea in the world, the macadamias, the avocados, and so on and so forth. And in each one of these, definitely we need to have innovations in them as well. Innovation must also serve our fundamental, foundational sectors. There is need for a framework to guide startups to allocate at least 15% of their expense to research and development. And I'm glad, I'm meant to understand, we have quite a number of vice chancellors here and the representative of universities as well. We are going to continue with this conversation of how we can build that capacity and capability in research and how it can be linked up with the space of startups and innovation. Now I say that this R&D that will directly spur advancement in agri-tech. This festival highlights the potential of the technology to revolutionize agricultural practices, fostering sustainable solutions that ensure food security and drive inclusive growth, particularly in our rural communities. Best practices like decentralizing innovation centers, often supported by development partners, will ensure that agriculture innovation benefit all regions. And as I was going around, one very fascinating innovation that I saw is the use of solar, energy to be able to dry sort of various agricultural produce. As we all know, sometimes the post-harvest losses can go up to 30%. And sometimes you also have these challenges of mycotoxins, aflatoxins, and it's only through value addition, only through sort of drying that you can be able to improve the life shelf of our products. I saw cassava, for example, being dried up using solar energy, using the solar panels, and of course also things like moringa, which is well known, good for our health as well. And mangoes, I was just giving Tony an example. In Vienna, where I just came 2 days ago, I stayed 9.5 years at the International Atomic Energy Agency. For my friends and colleagues who come from abroad, you know what I'm talking about. I could not touch a mango there. I could not touch an apple, pineapple there. I was only, on grapes and apples and so on and so forth. Very expensive. While the same mango, if you go to where I come from, Kilifi County, at the farm level, a mango will cost you probably 5 shilling. By the time it gets to Mombasa, it is about 20 shilling. By the time it gets to Vienna, is 1.2 euro. Now, you can imagine. And then the unfortunate thing is that we lose these at the farm level. So we have bump harvest during the season, the harvest season. But the challenge has always been, how do we preserve, how do we conserve these products? And I think these startups that I've seen here, the innovations that I've seen here, in my opinion, they really stand to be supported. And I'm glad that, Tony, you told me that this is the guy who won the prize last year. And really is a very commendable work that is doing. Now, this is one example out of many that we can talk about. But as I've said earlier, we need partners, we need development partners, so that we can ensure that agriculture innovations benefit all regions. Housing and settlement, again, the principle of innovation and sustainable development underpins our vision for housing and human settlements. Our investment in talent, ecosystem, and integration of the workforce development with urban planning outlined in our strategic documents lays the groundwork for smart, livable cities and sustainable communities. Startups in the climate tech also offer solution for green building and energy efficiency, contributing to resilient settlement, often through public-private partnership. Again, I was shown the cement to manage cracks that can stay for a long, very well that this country, this government is really committed to ensure that we have low, high cost housing for the population in this country. And I think products like this needs to be promoted so that we can have our own products, that are developed by own innovators in the country. So I can assure you that I will continue promoting these ideas so that we can be able to have homegrown solution to the challenges that we are facing. Last but not least in this area is about healthcare. Though not a primary focus of this specific festival, healthcare remain a critical sector ripe for startup innovation. We recognize the immense potential for our entrepreneurs to leverage technology to improve healthcare accessibility and delivery. The supportive framework created by Startup Bill and best practice in ecosystem development, such as fostering research-based startups and ensuring access to funding, will empower health tech ventures to develop life-changing solutions for all Kenyans, with specific contributions from developing partners and public-private partnership. Our ambition extends beyond individual successes. We are committed to building an entire ecosystem. We have to break the silos. We must be able to collaborate. We must be able to have very strong linkages and partnership that will foster further collaboration, balancing regulatory agility with stability, and continuously invest in talent development and commercialization of research. I've always talked about this, the commercialization of research. I've always spoken about innovation and change. I have been advocating for the socialization of science and technology. Whatever we do, we must be able to ensure that it has impact in the society. The approval of the Startup Bill with amendments by Parliament is a clear signal of our dedication to providing a predictable and attractive environment for both local and international investors, ensuring Kenya maintains its leadership Africa Premier Innovation and Entrepreneurship Hub. I know at the moment, Kenya, we stand at around 96, position 96, according to the Global Competitive Index. That has been an improvement from the previous years. And in Africa at the moment, if I'm not wrong, maybe position 6 or 7. And I think we can even do better. But again, with your support and a festival like this to demonstrate the capacity and capability and the talents that we have, I am sure with the government support that I want to assure you today, we can be able to go places. Crucially, the synergy between the government and the private sector and our invaluable development partners is the cornerstone of this blueprint. Their collective support through financing, backing, technical assistance, and market access is accelerating our journey towards becoming a global innovation leader. Friends and colleagues, in conclusion, I want to emphasize that Kenya possesses the ideas, the competitiveness, the ability, the energy, and the ambition. And you agree with me. You've seen outside there the talent that is being demonstrated, the presentations that have been done today, and the continuation that you're going to witness tomorrow. Our task now is to strengthen the structures that support this drive and let us work together. That means the government, academia, private sector, development partners, and individual innovators to build not just startups, but robust systems that will enable them to flourish and compete on the global stage. I want to thank you once again, and I wish you all a very highly productive and inspiring Kenya Startup Festival, Kenya Innovation Blueprint, competing on the global stage. I know you started in the morning, but as Tony said, he would like me to say these words that I would now officially like to open this Startup Festival. And I wish you all the blessings and God bless you. Just very quick remarks. I just want to add that we really want to see next year, God willing, that we can even plan a bigger event. I would like to bring all the players on this sector together. As I've said, I am of the ecosystem approach, bringing everybody so that we have the institutions that are in this space that they could be able to come and demonstrate here. We will also want to have more international exhibitors as well in future, so that we can also learn if there's anything that we can learn. I'm sure there is, and they can also borrow a leaf from the talents that the Kenyans have, because we have an agenda in Kenya for Kenya and by Kenyans as well. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you so much, Professor. Would like to request all our partners to just join the PS and take a photo, and specifically JICA, RISA. I hope the Vice Chancellor Riara is here. Yes, I can see him. KCK, UK Hub Tech, UK Kenya Tech Hub, Association of Countrywide Innovation Hubs, KEPSA, Silicon Exchange, Color, ASEC, Impact Investing Kenya, Alan and Jill Gray, Naiban, and La French Tech. Please make your way so that we can take a quick photo. All right, cameraman, please tupange tafadhali. And for our guests and sponsors, please make sure the cameraman is aware of your good side. Is that a good one, cameraman? Awesome. Let us know when you're done. Cameraman, we agreed you keep talking to us. We are not so sure whether you're clicking or not. Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much to our guests and sponsors. You may have your seats. Let's appreciate them as they take their seats. We can do a better job, ladies and gentlemen. I know the weather is getting a bit chilly. We still have a cup of tea, so please stay tuned. Once again, would like to thank our chief guest and thank you for the words of wisdom. Now from here, we will proceed with our program. And this is where we have the breakout sessions. At this particular juncture, I'd like to invite Ashley. Is Ashley around? Yes, Ashley, please join me here. We have two breakout sessions. One of them is the graduation ceremony. If you are graduating, please exit the room, walk all the way down the road. At the parking, you'll turn right and ask for new room 2. I'll repeat. Please exit, walk all the way down the road. Where there is parking, turn right. You are going to look for new room 2. That is where the graduation is happening. In case of any question, I am seated right here. I will confirm whatever details you need. And now, those remaining here is we have the pitch competition, and we are going to invite Ashley to come and take over. All right, let's appreciate Ashley so that you can guide us on the pitch.
Thank you so much. Are you guys energetic? Do you feel like you have energy? Well, one person at the front does. That's encouraging. What about the people at the back? Okay, ish. Kind of, sorta. Okay. So my name is Ashley Njoroge. I am the founder of Silicon Exchange. I am waiting for people to split into 2 groups. So if I had a good voice, I would start to sing a song. Okay, please do that. Thank you.
All right. And would like to request, if you're seated at the back and you're participating in the pitch, please occupy the tables at the front. And then we are going to invite the judges. So please make your way either out or closer to us. Would like to see your reaction. So please, those seated at the back, please join us at the front. There's plenty of space. Tafadhali. It's a request, ladies and gentlemen. If you're seated at the back, there's plenty of space and you're supposed to be here. Please join us, occupy the front tables where the judges are.
Cause you're a sky full of stars. I'm gonna give you my heart. Cause you're a sky full of stars. Cause you light up the path. I don't care, go on and tear me apart. I don't care if you do.
Thank you. Honoring our request. So kindly let's have our seats.
Cause in the sky full of stars.
Are you ready? Are we ready? I'd request that we take our seats even for the judges. And I think Ashley, you will do, you'll introduce our good judges. Is everybody settled? We are all settled. If you can hear me, clap once. If you can hear me, clap twice. So thank you so much. Karibu sana, Ashley.
Take two. Amazing. I'm excited to be standing here. It's the afternoon. Thankfully, it's not sunny. So hopefully we have a little bit of energy. My name is Ashley Njoroge. I am the founder of Silicon Exchange. Silicon Exchange was basically built to build an ecosystem between Silicon Valley and Sub-Saharan Africa. I think for some of us who have stayed abroad for kind of a long time, we've started to see the change in the talent pipeline in all of these big tech hubs. So specifically for San Francisco, we're starting to see a lot of like leading engineers, developers, marketers like across the ecosystem that are coming from the continent. And so we figured that now is a good time to start capitalizing on that talent and start to think about how we can build back our ecosystem. So we founded Silicon Exchange. We launched last year in December. It's so nice to see so many familiar faces that supported us, Mia, Nick, Kosen, and that's how I met Dr. Tony last year during our launch event. And we started talking about what does the global innovation agenda look like for Kenya? How do we get our founders to get more global exposure? How do we collaborate with global innovation hubs like FalconX, take our founders through some of the programs that they have the Indian founders go through, that we've seen them really be able to access the global market. So in the process of doing this, trying to go to one African event after another in San Francisco, like in San Francisco on every day, there's like 200 tech events happening, like mini, micro. They could have a super verticalized events. There's so much happening. And we probably have African events like once in a month. So the ecosystem there is very nascent, but people are starting to pay attention. Founders are starting to come out and build interesting things. So we can start to see that trend shift. And that's why we thought Silicon Exchange is probably a good thing in the market right now. I met a friend of mine, his name is Geoffrey, a couple years ago. He's the one that introduced me to the Pegasus Tech Ventures team, and that's how we're able to bring the Startup World Cup Festival to Kenya. I don't want to talk too much about it, but Pegasus Tech Ventures is based in San Francisco. They run this startup competition worldwide, but I think the goal for us is to start creating awareness on the opportunity that exists in Africa by showcasing our founders, and this is one of the stages that we will use to do that. And a lot of the founders that made it to the top 10 have asked, like, what if I'm not first? So what next for us? And I think what we want to do is to showcase all the 10 founders that we have shortlisted. Congratulations to all of you. We plan to work with you through a couple of different programs for the next year, help you get like global exposure in Silicon Valley, work with people like Enos to help with UK exposure, etc., and hopefully culminate into like bigger markets, more investments, but also just to start to get a feel of how other ecosystems are working. So now, I want to apologize on behalf of Pegasus Tech Ventures. Avi, who is the investor we've been working with, was supposed to be here. He got sick and he was not able to come. And so they sent a video, and truthfully, long videos are hard to watch. So the video is longer than I anticipate playing. So we'll play some of the video just so you can get a feel of what is a Startup World Cup Festival, where is it happening, and all of that stuff. And then I can start to get into the nitty-gritties of who are our judges, who are we thanking, what are we expecting today, who's pitching. But right now, I'm just going to open the floor for the video to be played. I'm looking at the media team. I don't want them to kill me if they're not ready.
Hello, Nairobi, and welcome to Startup World Cup Kenya Regional Competition 2025. My name is Bill Reichert, and I'm the Chief Evangelist for Startup World Cup. I'm also a partner at Pegasus Tech Ventures, the venture capital firm that brings you Startup World Cup. Before we kick off, I want to give a special thank you to Savannah Valley Ventures, our partner there in Kenya. Savannah Valley Ventures, thank you guys so much for pulling this all together and making today happen. A round of applause.
That's our registered name
Savannah-
company, in
for
case you're
Savannah
wondering
Valley
what's going
Ventures.
on.
Thank you, guys. So Startup World Cup is now the biggest startup competition on the planet. So we've grown from just starting to over 100 regional competitions every year in the past 8 years. So we run these competitions, we get tens of thousands of startup applications, we get tens of thousands of attendees. We invite the winners from each regional to come to Silicon Valley to compete. And the grand prize winner gets a $1 million grand prize. So about Pegasus Tech Ventures, our venture capital firm, we are a global venture capital firm with over $2 billion of assets under management. We've invested in over 270 companies over the years. We've been very fortunate with exits and IPOs since we started in 2011. But Pegasus is a little bit different than most venture capital firms. We have 41 separate funds. So the reason we have so many separate funds is, unlike a typical venture capital firm, what we do is we set up dedicated funds for each of our multinational global corporate partners. What we do is we work with them to identify strategic technologies that are going to be of value to them, and we go find those companies, invest in them, and then we facilitate collaboration between our portfolio companies and our corporate partners. Here are some of our corporate partners from around the world, and you can see some of the startups we've invested in, including some well-known brand names like Airbnb and SpaceX and OpenAI and Coinbase. So we started Startup World Cup several years ago to celebrate innovation and entrepreneurship around the world. And so what we wanted to do was reach out to innovation ecosystems all over the planet, find the best entrepreneurs, connect them within their ecosystem, across ecosystems, and to Silicon Valley, and then celebrate them in the media by telling their stories and showing their successes. So we celebrate entrepreneurs on every continent, in Europe, in Asia, in North America, and of course in South America, Africa, and Oceania, and especially today here in Kenya. So we're doing this year over 100 regional competitions around the world. As you can imagine, it's an amazing enterprise, finding and getting to meet all of these amazing entrepreneurs from all over the planet. So the grand finale this year is in October in San Francisco, October 15, 16, and 17. Mark your calendars. The venue is the Hilton San Francisco, and at that event, in the grand finale on the last day, we will award the $1 million grand prize. So at that grand finale, we're going to have over 3,000 attendees, including some top-tier corporate investors, some top-tier venture capital investors, some top-tier media to celebrate and broadcast the successful entrepreneurs. At the grand finale, we run a conference alongside the competition. And so in the morning, we bring in some luminaries from the tech community to share their insights and experiences, like Steve Wozniak. We've had him a couple of times. Vinod Khosla, the founder of Sun and the founder of Khosla Ventures. We have entrepreneurs and innovators from Pfizer, from Uber, from Waymo, from Siri. We also have Reid Hoffman from LinkedIn, and a couple of the Shark Tank judges as well have shown up over the years. We also bring in top-tier venture capital judges to make that hard final decision who gets the $1 million grand prize. So judges from Y Combinator, Tim Draper from Draper Associates, from Intel Capital, from Techstars, from Lightspeed, from Samsung. We have some great judges making the final decision. So I invite you all to join us here in San Francisco. mark your calendars, October 17th, Hilton Hotel, San Francisco. Here's a promo code for all of you here today. So I'm hoping that we will get a delegation from Kenya to come and celebrate and cheer on today's Kenya champion. So another thing I wanted to share with you now is that we have launched this year a Startup World Cup mentorship program. We touch thousands of entrepreneurs every year. We wish we could coach all of those entrepreneurs, but of course we can't. So we built up this mentorship network of hundreds of mentors who are volunteering to share their talent and experience with entrepreneurs to help them make sure they are good at pitching, at fundraising, at strategy, at recruiting, whatever mentorship entrepreneurs need, we provide through our mentorship network. So if you have experience as a mentor, if you're interested in paying it forward, if you'd like to become part of the Startup World Cup mentorship network, please sign up today. Here's a QR code, or here's the link to the website, startupworldcup.io/mentor app. Would love to have you as part of the team. And then another fun thing we're doing this year, we found a friend who is going to sponsor a $100,000 prize to the team who can dance the best. It's a little bit crazy, but check it out. Here's the QR code, or go to startupworldcup.io dance challenge and check to see if maybe you've got it in you. Maybe you're a great entrepreneur, and maybe you're also a great dancer. So check it out and see if it fits for you. So now, on with the show. So today, we've got a group of entrepreneurs who are going to give 4-minute pitch, followed by 2 minutes of Q&A from our esteemed panel of judges. The judges will score and announce the winner. So today, I want to give a special thanks to the panel of judges. They will be introduced to each of you in a few minutes, but thank you guys so much for doing this. And now, while the competition is underway, please, follow us, post on social media. Here are some of our handles for our different social media. Here are some hashtags. Go ahead and post the best pitch, post your favorite entrepreneur, post the networking party, however you want. But we'd love to see some social media from this event. So with that, thank you so much. I wish you all the best of luck, and may the odds be always in your favor. Thank you.
Okay, it was shorter than I remember, I promise you. So I think a couple of things. We also had a Kenyan startup founder. His name is Rama. He's one of the portfolio companies of Naiban, win the Las Vegas competition in the US. So he will be going to the global finals. So we're hopefully going to have 2 Kenyans in the global competition, which is quite an amazing feat, given that this is the first time that they're coming to Kenya. And I think it will make a significant announcement of what is happening in this country. Now, I will take this opportunity to introduce the judges very briefly, and then I think there's 2 mics on the table. I love it when people introduce themselves and how they want to be known. However, I will start here with Nick, because it's been cool today to say that you know Nick. So I also didn't know your name was Vilel. I would have said Vilele. So thank you so much to everyone who went ahead and pronounced your name correctly. Nick is a founder of Naiban. Naiban is one of our partners for bringing the competition here to Kenya. So thank you so much for partnering with us on this and many other things. I think we're very excited about the possibilities of all the things that we can do. Pulkit, I will not try to pronounce your second name. Yes, I will not. Thank you. I met Pulkit literally a couple of months ago. I think we've been trying to connect for a while. And he reminded me of how life happens in San Francisco. Very little red tape. People just want to collaborate and have partnerships and do something cool together. And so that was very exciting. He's a founder of Event. He's told me a couple of interesting stories about his journey as a founder. I can't wait to know more. Thank you so much for joining us and for joining the investor side to help build the ecosystem. Mia, nice to see you. Your name is also everyone's name. Oh my goodness. The first time I did her name tag, I had missed, this was in December, I had missed one of her names. And she has a very long name, but Mia, so nice to see you again. Welcome. She's a managing partner at Future Africa. And last but not least, we have Kosen, probably the only name I can pronounce on this table. He's a principal at Antler. And so welcome, judges. Thank you for helping us get to the shortlist. I think the people of the hour are the founders that you so graciously helped to review. We received over 160 applications. We're able to shortlist the top 10. And I would love to spend this time to quickly just call out the companies that are shortlisting. Unfortunately, one of the companies is not able to join us today, so I think we'll consider the pitch that they had already presented as what their pitch will be for the evaluation. But I think for the rest of the companies, should I call you guys forward so that we can see all of you together before you start pitching? How are you feeling? I think we should see your faces. This is for you. We're all of us right now, we're all here for you. So I'm going to call out your names. Well, I'm going to call out the names of your company because that's how I know most of you. So I'll start with CEO Valley Technologies. Okay, we have not been clapping the whole day, but now is the moment to clap for the founders. And then we have a team from Dovo Wealth. And then we have Bupas. And then we have Neural Labs. Jahazi. Leafy Life. I want to give a shout out to Leafy Life because you came from Wajir. And the beauty of when we did the shortlist, people did say where they were from, but I don't think we focused on that. So when I got an email that someone was coming from Wajir, I was like, I'm going to challenge every partner in this room to do more for these founders today, but we will get there. The next is Paid. Melanin will not be joining us, but that was one of the shortlisted companies. And then we have Zero Bionic. And then lastly, we have VunaPay. I think this is your photo op moment. Let's get this photo before the pitches begin. We're so proud of all of you. Your pitches were fantastic. We're excited to see what each of you is building. And we're happy to collaborate with each of you individually outside of whoever wins the pitch competition. The only other thing I want to add is any of the top 10 founders is welcome to come to San Francisco for the conference. I think this is where we want to engage more ecosystem partners to facilitate flights and all of these other things for our founders. So we'll start to challenge people like Kenya Airways, Qatar, like we are talking about corporates showing up for the ecosystem. I think this is the moment. And then there was the call to be a mentor. I think the thing that they do with mentors is they get every mentor flown in and accommodation and everything catered for by Pegasus Tech Ventures. Obviously, they won't say that, but that's one of the things that happens. So we'd love to see mentors from Kenya because that's how we're starting to build our presence in the ecosystem by having representation. So this is the one moment. We want to give a huge shout and clap to the founders on stage for making it to the top 10. Could we please get the Startup World Cup? Could we get the Startup World Cup logo on the stage so that they can take a picture? Can we get it on both cameras? Is that possible? Amazing. Okay, this is perfect. Okay, picture time. Cool. Are we good with the photo? It's awkward, right? Is it awkward? Just standing there, right? Okay, amazing. We'll be calling you right back. Okay, so we're going to get started immediately. We'll have the judges say our word, and then CEO Valley, you're the first to go. I can tell you the order. Then Bupas is next, Jahazi is third, Leafy Life is fourth, and then Paid is fifth. So I'll say the rest of the names while after the first five go. 4 minutes. The clock is ticking over there. 2 minutes for Q&A with judges. And then, yeah, live your best life. I think so. I'm going to borrow one from the judges. I think that would make more sense. Yeah.
Inappropriate. Waiting for the clock to reset. Hello, can you hear me? Hi. Hey everyone, my name is Trevor. I'm the co-founder, CEO of CO Valley Technologies. We're a local Kenyan company that is dedicated to solving food spoilage across East Africa and the world. So as you guys know, a few different facts, right? One, food spoilage in fresh produce and vegetables is a problem, right? Somewhere between 50 to 70% across value chains goes bad, never reaches the market. Fact two, Kenya is a prolific exporter of fresh produce. Right now we're in avocado season, so Kenya last year exported about $150 million worth of avocados. Fact three, which you may not know, the value chains leading up to that export point are highly fragmented, fractured, and inefficient, leading to spoilage rates somewhere between 50 and even up to 90+%. So CO Valley Technologies is a biotech company that has vertically integrated in this supply chain, specifically targeting export markets and export produce. We do everything from sourcing to sorting to delivery to the end pack house. And how we do it and how we can do it better than anyone else is we rely on 3 different buckets of technologies. First, artificial intelligence. Everyone here talks about AI. I would feel incomplete if I didn't talk about AI as well. And we'll talk a bit more about what that looks like in a minute. Second is biotech. Fun fact, we actually started as a biotech company inventing solutions for cold chains and food preservation. And third, last but not least, is trade secrets. We've made a lot of mistakes. We've learned from them. Those become secrets on how we do things differently so we don't keep making mistakes. When we talk about the 3 kind of core buckets of technologies, one of the key questions is, is it just a wrapper or is it just kind of a nice thing on something? But really, AI and biotech are the infrastructure that run the company. So we've built a full stack end-to-end AI company that uses AI from everything from sourcing prediction based on weather models and soil data, all the way to price optimization, market making, real-time harvest analytics, and even to like basic stuff like routing of trucks and cost management. The key to it is biotech as well. So we are the inventors of a product called Kafresh. It's a natural organic spray that extends the shelf life of produce 2 to 3 times without cold rooms. You can see the difference of 2 jackfruits we tested in Uganda. So what does that mean for us, right? That means we can run all of a sudden a cold chain that's not cold. We don't have to have cold rooms or reefers. We don't have to throw away stuff that isn't sold at the end of the day. We can keep inventory and we can sell it. So we can reduce our cost and provide extra quality and quantity to the exporters who need it. Just a sample of how we use AI. One of the key pieces of managing produce quality at the end is sorting at the beginning. And that takes an experienced eye and a lot of education, or it takes a phone and a camera. And so we've built our own proprietary computer vision model and app that allows anyone, anywhere to sort produce to the standards that we teach the AI. So it's a locally trained model based on local data as well as open source using transfer learning. And this is something that we can use throughout. So it's not just a wrapper, not just an agent, it's something that underlines the entire part of our business and is core to who we are. Look, we made a pivot. I told you we used to be a biotech company. We sold the spray. That was kind of end of Q4. So we've built all of this since March. And so every month we've been growing over 100%. That's cool, not that exciting. The really exciting part is there's 30x demand that we can't fill. And so we continue to build and innovate tools to fill that unmet demand. Speaking of unmet demand, we are in Africa. We're not stopping in Africa. Our goal is to build the produce platform and export platform for the $2 trillion fresh produce market. And we've built a team. So JP, co-founder, CSO, inventor of Kafresh, Nick, PhD in AI, and myself. So you probably have some questions. Here's a few you probably have. I've written out responses, but would love to do Q&A. Do you guys need your mic back or no? Okay, cool.
Maybe a basic question, and thanks so much for the presentation. I understand the spray part.
Yep.
Explain to me what is the business right now? Like the
Yeah.
new part, are you basically harvesting and selling produce? Are you just helping others to do that?
Yeah.
What exactly is the business?
Yeah, super great question. It's essentially, we've built a brokerage. So we actually go offtake from the farmer directly, use our spray and our biotech interventions across the supply chain, and actually sell and deliver to exporters. And we found as you aggregate demand both on the buy side and the sell side, you gain economies of efficiency because you kind of get the law of large numbers and you can sub-optimize across classes. So we actually do all of the hard work. We used to sell the spray. The big transition for that was we realized that if you don't solve the fundamental questions of the marketplace, so if you sell the spray, but then someone puts an avocado into a 130 kilogram bag, straps it to a matatu like a guacamole missile, the outcome isn't going to be that different. So then we had to figure out how we actually had to vertically integrate and how we leverage tech to manage the cost and shift variable cost to fixed costs.
And maybe just, sorry, as a follow-up,
Please.
so that sounds like an enormously huge market you're tackling. Yes. So how are you getting started? Are you focusing on certain produce or certain markets or certain parts of the value chain?
We're doing everything all at once. No, I'm kidding. No, so we started with a pickup truck doing garden eggs in Uganda, 25 kilos at a time, because I wanted to prove out the economics and understand how it could scale, and then figure out where we can have interventions for technology, both biotech and AI, to make it scale. So in Uganda, we're doing garden eggs and pineapples. In Kenya, we're doing avocados, because archetypically, I see them as two different types of produce. Don't have time to get into that. Happy to talk about that later. But we're testing across multiple types of produce to prove the scalability and extensibility of the model.
Hi, great presentation.
Thanks.
I think it might be along the same lines, but I'm just curious.
Send it.
What does a competitive landscape look like, and what's your edge?
Yeah.
Or how significant is the edge of the IP you guys have developed?
Yeah, super good question. Always good to have a, oh, this is the previous version. Sorry, I had another one in my appendix that was my competitive set. Or I'm just really good at lying, but I actually did have it. This is actually just a flex. No, so it's a great question. The competitive set, what we typically see when people build these vertically integrated kind of produce platforms is a lot of them target local market opportunities because they see that's where the volume is. One of the things we realized quite early on was that there's a higher willingness to pay for exporters. So we actually are able to widen the spread that we get, because we pay cash at the farm gate. So we get a 10 to 20% discount at the farm, which is unusual. And then second, exporters are willing to pay about a 20 to 30% premium for our quality and guaranteed kind of quality and quantity that they are able to offtake from us. And that's all managed because we can do these, we can use our COFRESH and biotech assets to maintain our supply chain integrity. If you look at, the kind of global player on the stage is Tridge. Look, Tridge is amazing, but where they've kind of done is they haven't done the vertical integration and they just kind of put an AI on top of a commodity trading platform. The problem with most export markets is that the harvest to export is wildly informal. Most places that export produce have informal markets, and building like a fancy stock broker layer market making platform on it misses a lot of the opportunity. So what we're doing is kind of going first principles from farm gate to export to build an entire full stack platform to cover all of those things. And we think that way we can maximize value every single step. And instead of getting typically 50 to 90% spoilage or rejection at the pack house, we get about 10%. And we continue to bring that down through some future inventions that we're working on. Cool. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Wycliffe Omondi, co-founder of Bupas. Where's the deck? Yeah. So my name is Wycliffe Omondi, co-founder of Bupas. At Bupas, we are digitalizing intercity transport in Africa. And by this, I mean transport that move from one city to another, not the matatus, etc. So Over 70% of the population in Africa use intercity transport, which translates to about 3.9 billion annual trips and 200 million transactions per day. The problem is that intercity transport market in Africa is undigitalized, fragmented, and broken. On one hand, you have your transport operators that use manual paper ticketing, and they have a lot of cash leakage. They waste a lot. They don't have a good customer experience, and there's poor business data. On the other hand, you have you and I, who, if we want to travel to Mombasa or to another place, we have to go to the station to book a ticket. So we waste a lot of time, we waste a lot of money, and we don't have a way to compare different modes of transports. And that's why Bupas has built an end-to-end ticketing platform, enabling the transport operator to digitalize their operation, and as a traveler, you are able to book travel tickets. So our bus management solution digitalizes all the operations. If you've used SGR here in Kenya, we've digitalized the whole of SGR. 90% of the train ticketing passed through our platform. We've aggregated more than 400 airlines and enabled mobile money payment methods. And we've digitalized the intercity parcel system, enabling e-commerce and small retailers to send parcel from one city to another. Our clients are individual clients that are able to book enterprises and also e-commerce shops. This is what the platform looks like. You can access it on desktop, web app. As a consumer, you are also able to access it on USSD, which does not require internet. As an enterprise, you can create your enterprise solution to manage your travel within the platform. We have partnered with different banks and telcos, and we are pioneering use of transport tech within the super apps, etc. So even within your M-Pesa app, you are able to buy your bus travel tickets and be able to travel. These are some of the major partners we've partnered with. And we also, 2 years ago, we acquired a company called QuickBus, which enables us to scale to more than 15 African markets, including Nigeria and South Africa. And together with our team, we've demonstrated more than 3 times growth every year. So last year we closed at 2.8 million USD in revenue, though not GMV. We've sold more than 20 million tickets. We have more than 5 million monthly transaction value that pass through our platform. And this year we aim to close about 5.2 million. Bupas is not unique. Similar models have been proven in different markets. So if you look at Asia, you have Redbus, which was acquired for 200 million by Naspers, which is a South African company. You have Ixigo, and you have C-Trips in China valued at 22 million USD. You have Buspad in Europe. Actually, we've gotten 2 acquisition interests from Buspad and Bookaway. Sonia and I are the co-founders, and we are led by, we have a team of 56 full-time staff members. Most of them have experience in tech and different sectors. Actually, our CTO was, we were helped to hire the CTO by shortlist, which I saw here, and we've raised we've now just concluded our seed stage. So Team Draper is one of our investors, and Naiban has been one of our investors as well, Renew Capital and Founders Factory, which is 54 Collective as well. We've gotten some grants from Google and other investors as well. Thank you.
Hi. Thank you for the presentation. Is there a hardware play as well in what you're doing? Question number 1. Question 2, who pays you? Is it the customer, which when purchases a ticket, you get a percentage out of it? Or when you work with, who pays you, and where I'm guessing you have a couple of revenue streams. Who pays you the most? And how has that increased over?
Okay, so there's a hardware play for transport operators that don't have computers, etc. We give them back, and the payback period is within 3 months of operation. So the moment we deploy, maybe it takes us about $3,500 to deploy those hardware. Then within the 3 months, we are able to recover the cost of that hardware. In terms of who pays us, we are a B2B to C company. All our revenue are B2B. So in terms of, I've mentioned we provide platform for the whole Kenya Railways is our platform. So Kenya Railways pays us. in that. In terms of bus, so we get about 2.5% of the train tickets. We get 8% on marketplace tickets, so the bus operator pays us. If you're a customer, you don't have to pay extra because it's the B2B model. For flights, we get 4% per ticket. For parcel, we get 4% per ticket as well.
So why does a government agency choose you? Like, what's your USP? Why to choose you?
Yeah. So good question. So if you remember in 2017, when Kenya government train launched, everyone used to go to Syokimau, which is like an hour away to buy a bus ticket, to buy a train ticket. And so the government approached Safaricom CEO, then the late Bob Colimo, who was one of our mentors, that Safaricom develops. But Bupas was trending on Twitter by then, having started with Easy Coach and other bus operators. So the Safaricom CEO came to us and said, because you already have the technology, why don't we partner? You do the train ticketing, and we power it as M-Pesa. So the value proposition for Safaricom is increasing M-Pesa transaction. The Bupas, because we are expertise in tech, we deploy the tech, and that's how we've scaled.
Thanks so much. Your revenue traction is quite impressive, particularly last year. Can you tell us a little bit more about how much of that revenue was acquired versus based on your core business that you have grown?
Yeah, so we acquired QuickBus 2 years ago, and 33% of our revenue come from QuickBus. About 60% come from Kenya, and the rest come from Uganda and Tanzania. So, and in terms of split, bus is the highest, with about 60%, train about 30%, and flights the remaining. Yeah.
Got it.
So what does the next level of scale look like for you? Is it going deeper in the existing markets or expanding to additional new markets?
Yeah, for now, we want to go deeper into existing markets because we've realized going deeper makes us get more partnership. And we've gone, in this slide, we've gone, this involves giving APIs. So in your M-Pesa app, any person that has more than 10 million people use M-Pesa app every day. And those people can now access Bupa's platform, and the same with FNB, Vodafone, etc. that we've partnered with. But also we are looking at both conventional ways of scaling and scaling by going to acquire customers, etc. But also we are looking at scaling through acquisition. So in markets where someone like South Africa, where a competitor was good and they have acquired business deals, some of these take years to acquire, we'll go through acquisition. So we are looking at both acquisition and scaling. And that's why you've seen investors that have invested in us, including Draper, etc. They are investors that have exited in similar business before. And they've seen the way we scale and the way we grow business. And they see there is a path for them to exit as well. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm waiting for the... Okay. 260 million. Let that number sink in for a moment. That is the number of formal workers across Africa that are financially underserved. And in Kenya alone, we have 5 million employees that are living paycheck to paycheck. 65% of them run out of money before payday. 8 in 10 approach their employer first for any financial assistance. And these employers, they lack the tools, the expertise, and the cash flow to be able to help their employees despite wanting to. And that's where Jahazi comes in. We enable on-demand salary disbursements for formal employees across Africa. I'm Vaidehi Tembekar, the co-founder of Jahazi. And our solution, well, we leverage attendance and payroll information to enable employees to access the wages they have already earned. What does this mean? If someone requests an advance on the 7th day of the month, they only get up to what they've earned in those 7 days.
And we have the most convenient way for them to access the funds. They simply dial a USSD code. Our system verifies the information from the payroll and auto-disperses the funds directly into their M-Pesa wallet. No smartphone or internet needed. At the end of the month, we invoice the employer, they deduct from the employees' salaries and pay us. And we have a very simple B2B2C business model where we charge the employee a 5% processing fee on every transaction. And the opportunity is massive. We're looking at 260 million formal workers across Africa, and with a revenue of $27 per employee, that makes it a $7 billion TAM. Targeting just the COMESA region, we're at a $1.3 billion serviceable addressable market. And if we can get a 10% share of that market, we have a sum of $137 million. We create stickiness through a deep integration within the employer. And because we're underwriting the employers, we have the advantage of providing the employees with substantially better rates. In the last 10 months since we started, we've seen over 200% growth quarter on quarter and have a strong pipeline of employers waiting to onboard with us. We have a $140,000 pipeline value month over month. We've disbursed over $110,000 in advances today, seen a 0% default rate, and have onboarded over 1,500 employees. And our impact? For our employees, we've saved them $8,000 against the next best solution and over $12,000 against other solutions. We also ensure scalability by partnering with float capital providers. We have 2 partnerships in place today. One of them is with a tier 1 bank in Kenya that not only gives us access to the Kenyan market, but 10 other markets that they have presence in. We're in the technical integration phase of this partnership, and we hope to launch in about 6 months. This will be structured as a revenue share partnership. In terms of our team, we've been working together for over 2 years and have launched and scaled businesses across Europe, the US, and Africa in both fintech and SaaS. And we have 3 other employees on our team. We have a product manager, a sales and partnership associate, and a software engineer. We're currently raising a $200,000 round to duplicate our success to 80 employers over the next 12 months. That will help us raise a much larger seed round in the next 12 months. By 2050, the global workforce will be in Africa. So join us on our mission to empower employees to get financial freedom starting today. Thank you.
Hello. Hi. Thank you for your presentation. A couple of questions. One, who underwrites these loans? The company does, or which you're giving? They underwrite the loan?
So at the moment, the way, yes, the employer, we underwrite the employer. So we're the ones that provide the capital for these advances, but we do due diligence on the employers, right? So we do due diligence on the employers. We check their financial health. We're looking at all of their payroll information to ensure that they can pay us back at the end of the month. So once an employee takes an advance, we have all of this information. At the end of the month, we invoice the employer. They deduct it from the employee's salaries and they pay us.
What's the cost of capital at which you get?
At the moment, we're doing this when it's off of our own balance sheet, it's fine. But like we have another partnership in place where the cost of capital is about 1.5%.
Per annum, per month?
Per month.
And you're charging 5%
And we're charging.
of the total amount disbursed.
Correct. So the balance 5 minus 1.5 is what we're making essentially.
And has the underwriting technology aspect, could you talk a bit about it? Like, how do you understand your customer better before they, like how much time it takes? You said a couple of minutes, right?
Sure. Yeah, to underwrite an employer, it's about a day's worth of work if they give us all the right information. So we need 6 months of their bank statements that we would analyze. We have, our CTO has built technology to analyze bank statements and understand the health of a business. So we use that. We ask for 6 months of their payroll information as well. So we understand the volume of their payroll. We look at the dates that payroll is being processed. We look at when customers are paying this employer in particular, so we know that they can pay us on time. And then on every employee, when they're taking an advance, we also do an IPRS KYC check on them to make sure that the person that is requesting the advance is in fact the person that's getting the funds.
And what's your default rate right now?
At the moment, because we're actually collecting from the employers, we've seen a 0% default rate. So we're making sure we do thorough due diligence on the employers. So at the end of the month, they pay us. And we have a turnover of about 35 to 40 days at most in terms of employers paying us back month on month.
Okay. How many customers do you have? Not the number of employees, but companies which are customers.
We have about 5 employers, and each of them have about 300 to 350 employees
And
that we
has
service.
increased quarter over quarter. How much?
That has increased quarter over quarter by like 30%. So like we started, for the first 2 months, we only started with 1 customer. We were trying to prove out the model. Now we're scaling. We have about 3 more employees that are starting in June. And the initial issue that we had is the float, right? We didn't have float capital, which is why we were slow in terms of scaling. But now that we have a float capital partnership come in place, we're able to service a lot more employers over the next couple of months.
Thank you.
Maybe one question I have is, I see quite a number of similar-ish companies in the market. Like, what is gonna be the one thing that will make you guys win over the others?
Sure, thank you. So I think maybe we can talk about a couple of players that we highlighted on the slide. So one of them is Power. They started in the earned wage access space. They're quite ahead of us, but at the moment they've kind of pivoted into more of an infrastructure play where they're building software for banks. WorkPay and other HR solutions also provide earned wage access, but earned wage access is a really, really small part of their much larger HR suite of offerings. So it's not really their core product. The way that we see this working is we want to focus on this product as our core, and then expand out throughout Kenya and then into other markets as well. Another thing that we're noticing is we're sitting on a lot of data. We have payroll information from every single employer month on month, and we want to try and look into that data, analyze it, understand the demographic, understand how employees are actually spending this money that they're getting advanced, and then build solutions on top of that as the next step. Thank you.
So, good evening. So, basically, I'm Johnson Boya. The solution we are presenting today is we are recycling used diapers to generate fuel, that is cooking fuel, and other byproducts like the fertilizer and building construction materials. So, generally, we are creating a sustainable fuel from used diapers. So, the problem we are solving is to give access. Okay, so the problem the solution we are creating is to give access to the low or the middle, the informal settlement to get access to clean and affordable fuel. This one, when growing young as a young boy, I used to see like the traditional system of cooking, the kerosene and the firewood. Now, like my mom used to, the smoke and all the contamination, the series of respiratory diseases. Then now, growing as a young boy, that used to be a consistent problem. And now, growing up with already a problem solve someday, sometime. And this is the time. So there are approximately 23,000. That's data from WHO. That lose their lives due to cooking from contaminated fuel, using contaminated sources of cooking like firewood, kerosene, yeah. So basically the global statistics, 4.5 billion, that is global use of diapers. As you know, diapers is basic for hygiene. We have to use it, but now after usage, there hasn't been a proper channel or a proper system how to get it rid of. So Kenya alone, we have approximately 800 million. That is the annual usage, yeah. So what is the problem now after the usage? There's emission of greenhouse contamination. There's a problem of drainage system and a whole of contamination and environmental mess. So basically, our business, we have created a chemical technology where we are using a series of processes, basic from collection to laboratory process, series of processes like thermal decomposition, pyrolysis, like a whole process in the laboratory, from the collection process to the end product, that is fuel, as the main product into our process. So those are just sample of demonstration, series of testing from collection, sterilization, cleaning, where we use a series of chemical, hydrogen peroxides and other substances. Through that to series of testing, then now to, the processes now we decompose, we dry, then now we separate the series of separations, then a whole pyrolysis system to enable us to get our product of interest. So that's just a simple demonstration on the usage, of the fuel, where we have unique designated GCOs, where we use those are the GCOs we get through partnership with the specific institutions. Now the manufacturing companies that now we connect them to the users, so that now they get we get access or availability to the specific GCOs as demonstrated above. So the solution is affordable, clean, and sustainable. It's able to burn for quite some time. Yeah. So basically, that's just a simple illustration of the diapers, some of the byproducts like the tiles. Also, we produce the bits of organic manure, but our main product of interest is fuel. So that's just a quick view of the market of concern. For example, Kenya, we have around 47 to around 50 to 55 million people. Then now the middle or rather the informal settlements contributes to a bigger percentage. That now that is the market. That is our market of interest, where we are targeting with our solution. Then Machakos, for example, is the county of a case study, as 210 households which more live below the poverty line. Oh, it's okay. 1 minute.
I think my question is about your next slide anyway. I just want to understand the cost, how it compares to other products in the market, and what your profit margin is on selling it.
The cost of the fuel?
Yes, the cost of the fuel and what your profit margin is.
Also, the cost we sell, we have different units like 500 ml, 1 liter. So, for example, like the 500 ml, we sell like around at 87 shillings. So the price ranges according to market demand and external like now the raw materials, the expenses. But 1 liter ranges around 170, 150. So yeah, Kalita.
What's the underlying technology? You said pyrolysis, right? So is that your own IP? What's the underlying technology to convert a diaper to fuel?
The IP.
What's the underlying technology? What's the process called?
Oh, okay. The process of course, we combine a series of processes, but the main process that leads to the production is now the pyrolysis process.
Okay, so is biochar your competition at all?
Sorry?
Is biochar your competition at all? When as a customer, I have a couple of options, like for fuels, right?
Yes.
So which is your competition, which is not your product?
Sorry.
How do you define your competition? Okay. How long does the whole process takes from getting a diaper to?
Okay. So the process takes a lot of series of days or some weeks now. Like now, for example, from collection, we partner with the institutions now. The daycare, the schools, institutions, and hospitals to deliver the raw materials to us. After the delivery, there's now a whole process. Now we treat them. The first one, they're contaminated. We treat them. Now there's a drying process. Enclosed tank. Space. Then now that can go for 3-4 days. Then after that, they're dried. Then there's all of compression. We compress them. Then now we do a series of testing, sterilization. Then after that, now we begin the laboratory process, which can go for again another like 2, 3, 4 days, depending on the efficiency of the systems that we use. Yeah.
Last question. Compared to other fuels which a customer can have access to, what is the energy density for this? So if I use half a liter of this or half a kilo of biochar or coal, how clean you are? Can you give some stats around it?
Clean. Okay,
you call yourself a clean fuel, right?
Yes.
Yes. So could you compare with other options of fuel?
Yes. So like a survey that was conducted to try innovation by the climate impact research assessment, using our fuel for 1 year reduces carbon emission by 152 tons per households compared to other other sources of fuel. Yeah.
Just one question from me. One of the main challenges for these waste to resource businesses is getting enough waste. So I'm just curious how you guys collecting enough efficiently.
So actually getting enough waste, how we solve the problem, we have like a whole value chain on how to get the waste. One, we partner with the solar system, or like of every county, there's a whole system of waste collection channel. We partner with them. We partner with schools, daycare, churches, hospitals. Those are points of interest. Also, we have a plan to introduce where like now every household for every diaper you deliver to us, there's a credit in terms of points. Maybe 1 bob now, maybe you can return now, buy fuel at a reduced price. So those are the systems we use here.
Benaya up next, paid, and then Neural Labs will be coming right after that. I think the ticker is up there, there, and then the timer is there, and then your pitch is here.
Hi everyone, my name is Benaya Wepundi, founder and chief maverick at Paid. So I'll start over with a quick story. I joined campus to study law. In the second year of law school, I had to drop out, not because law school was hard, just because of circumstances. So I had an option. I either go back to Matunda in Kakamega County, that is up country, or I stay in Nairobi. Staying in Nairobi means I have to pay rent, I have to pay for my food, I have to figure out how I cover my expenses. So I got into this new cool thing called freelancing, right? I learned how to build website, to do designs, and get these gigs from here and there, from platforms, from referrals. One of the biggest challenges I faced as a freelancer was getting paid. And if you've done freelancing before, you've just checked out Twitter and seen what freelancers are saying, this is one of the biggest problems that freelancers are facing. First of all, there's the problem of the cost of payments across different countries. I'd get a gig from a client in the US or France, but then receiving this payment here in Kenya and having it in M-Pesa, being able to spend it through M-Pesa, would cost me up to 15% of the cost of the money I'm getting. Number two, this payment would take up to 5 days to get to my account. Even beyond that, freelancing is extremely unstructured. I don't know when my next payment is coming in. I don't know when my next gig is going to come in. So then figuring out how to budget with what I'm getting from freelancing is extremely hard. Incomes paid. What we're building at Paid is a platform that essentially simplifies how I, as a freelancer, gets paid globally, spends locally, and is able to track and manage my income. We're building this on stablecoin infrastructure, and where stablecoins come in is it simplifies how we're able to move this money fast and easy across the world. A payment from the US to Kenya would take minutes instead of hours. A payment from India to Brazil would take minutes instead of days. And even beyond that, we're building in a market that is growing really, really fast, right? We're seeing even governments across emerging markets pushing for young people to pick up digital skills and get into gig work, because gig work is the future of work. In Africa alone, we're talking about 60% of the youth population that is picking up digital skills and digital work. And across Africa and LATAM, which are the emerging markets, over 43% of the workforce on gig platforms is coming from these areas. Fixing this problem is a $1 billion opportunity. We are talking about over 1.9 trillion in gig payments across the world, and across Africa and LATAM, about 93 million freelancers. Out of this, we believe that we're able to service about 8.6 billion of the payments volume. Sorry for that. I think someone converted my design to PDF. So how our revenue model works, we charge a 1.5% transaction fee on all payments made on the platform. We charge a 1% FX fee on all currency conversions, and we make a 4% liquidity yield on all balances held on the platform. This is another place where stablecoins come in. We're able to give the freelancers more value for their money and make more money as well by utilizing this technology. To date, we've been able to move around 781,000 US dollars in value, growing 41% month on month, and we've done about 54,000 transactions over the last 2 years of iterating and learning. You should be seeing a hockey stick graph there. So just envision it. But over the last 2 years, we've been able to onboard over 20,000 freelancers, and we are growing very, very fast. We're estimating that by the end of this year, we'll be at about 100,000, sorry, and by the end of next year, we'll be hopefully getting to 1 million. We have a couple of interesting partnerships that enable us to do this, including Yellow Card, one of the most licensed stablecoin and payment providers in the continent with about 8 licenses. MoneyGram, that enables us to deliver cash to remote areas. And this is very, very important, especially in emerging markets, because payments across emerging markets are not as built as we think they are. So enabling this freelancer to get paid in USD and pick up cash at the local MoneyGram agent is huge. Lisk and Borderless support our global payment network and stablecoin network. When you talk about competition, one of our biggest competitive advantages is the fact that, number one, we're aggregating, we connect you globally and understand local. So we aggregate payment channels across multiple countries and simplify how you're able to spend locally. Beyond that, we move money faster, we're cheaper, and we provide you more than just payments. Paid is built by gig workers for gig workers. I have a superstar team of founders who've been part of, who've built banking infrastructure at I&M, who've worked part of the early team at Chipper Cash, worked with freelancers across Powerland Project, Moringa School, and Ajira, and worked on global payment systems at Omdena. We're raising a 750K USD round for our pre-seed, and this primarily goes into onboarding our next 100K active users, building our payments and the ML infrastructure, and initial licenses. Join us as we get freelancers paid globally.
Yeah, hi, Benai. I want to just give you an opportunity to talk about your hockey stick growth. What's your go-to-market strategy? How you're achieving that hockey stick growth?
Yeah, that's the most interesting thing. So I think one of the things that has really helped us is the fact that we're built by freelancers for freelancers. So our primary GTM strategies are communities, events, and essentially working through the channels that we got into freelancing in the first place. So that we're able to onboard a lot more freelancers very, very fast.
Thank you. What's your customer acquisition cost at this stage, and has it gone down or gone up? Could you tell us the absolute cost?
Can you hear me? Yeah. We spend about $1.5 to acquire a new customer, and that cost is going down. At the beginning of last year, that was at about $2.5, $3. And one of the things that is taking this cost down is a network effect. Again, freelancers are organized in communities. If I find a payment method that works for me today, I'll invite my friends to it, and it just compounds.
Why are you cheaper compared to, and how are you faster? Like, what's the magic sauce?
Stablecoin banking. So we've built our entire payment infrastructure on stablecoins. How that works is Once a payment is received in fiat, that payment, fiat is local currency, say in USD, that payment is immediately on ramp to stablecoin. So we settle our users in stablecoin, and anytime they're transacting out of the wallet, now is when we are off-ramping that transaction to stablecoins. We work with two partners, Lisk and Borderless, who provide us with the liquidity and the infrastructure to enable to make that possible, essentially.
And what if eBay gets into that?
We'd have built the network by then.
Thank you.
Where are most of your customers now? Are you in multiple markets? How have you acquired customers outside of Kenya, if you have them?
Yeah, so most of our customers currently are from Kenya, East Africa, because this is where our reach is. We, however, have about 15% of our customers from Nigeria and South Africa specifically. And one of the things that has enabled us to acquire customers outside Kenya is we found a way where we can onboard a business that is hiring freelancers, and they're able to directly pay their freelancers from paid. So if you onboard one business in the US that is paying freelancers across Africa, we get a customer base in South Africa, in Nigeria, and all these other countries.
How many of those do you have?
23.
Nice.
Generally, I know there's the virtual assets service providers bill that's coming. What does that mean for you, and how are you viewing navigating that?
Yeah, so we've been actively part of the conversation on how the licensing is coming along. As I mentioned, one of our partners, Yellow Card, has the most virtual asset service providers licenses on the continent. But even beyond that, interestingly, one of our early investors is a senior counsel who's also really well versed in the space. So I'm confident that will be probably among the first licensed players once this is out. So it's something we're actively working on.
So I just want to make sure that no one will be penalized for a lack of a hockey stick, because those are technical problems on the team. And I think a couple of presentations have been converted from what was originally shared by the founders. So up next is Neural Labs, Tom, and then Vunape Gatweri, Zero Bionic, Nora, and Dovu Radhika, in that order.
Losing my friend almost half a decade ago was extremely tragic. But even more tragic was the fact that this was entirely preventable with timely diagnosis. But I'm not the only one. Every year, hundreds of thousands of Africans lose loved ones due to entirely preventable diseases. Do you know why? Probably the doctor-patient ratio, and for our case, the radiologist ratio. 2/3 of the world today have no access to radiology. When you look at the numbers when it comes to number of radiologists in our countries, according to the Radiologist Association, you'll find some countries have as low as less than 4. In Kenya, for instance, as of last year, we'd had 288 radiologists. So what does it mean? It means that patients wait for longer for lab results. But when aggressive diseases like pneumonia can kill in less than 3 days, then definitely longer wait times are definitely a death sentence. About 15% of deaths today in Africa would be avoidable with timely diagnosis. How do we increase these turnaround times? How do we ensure that our radiologists are more accurate because they're in a pressure to report more medical images? We built a picture archiving communication system that seeks to do 3 things. 1, connects with any hardware to solve the software, to solve a problem where hardwares in hospitals can only work with specific software providers. So we ensure that radiologists can access medical images from the comfort of their devices. That means that a patient doesn't have to wait for hours to get their lab results. 2, we pre-screen medical images for your radiologist to reduce the time they spend on a medical image from 25 minutes to 7 minutes. 3, we encrypt these medical images and keep them at low resources. For instance, a CT scan can be as big as 1 GB. We encrypt this to 1 MB. We have several users, including radiologists, hospitals, diagnostic labs, insurance, and governments as well. we typically charge about 30% of the cost of imaging. We are tapping into a $2.8 billion market where we hope to target 3% in the next 3 years. What have we done so far? We've done a clinical validation with UNICEF Innovation Fund to be able to understand what is our sensitivity and specificity score. This then helped us and informed a pivot to our software to solve the infrastructure challenge. So our software connects with any hardware. Today, we finished our pivot last year. We've onboarded 3 hospitals, generating 73K in revenue, since it will take you between 10 to 23K USD per year for our software. What is our USP? We use local context data to solve local disease burdens. We use our software that doesn't require a hospital to have an overhaul in their infrastructure. Your infrastructure, we work with that. We offer a 360-degree solution that is able to work across these areas. We have a team, I'm Tom, of a combined 70 years of experience, including our board of directors, to be able to fuel our next growth and to be able to enable us to onboard hospitals, provide partnerships between radiology associations such that Kenyan radiologists can report for other radiologists in other middle, low-income countries. We need 800K. Our partners include Office of Innovation in UNICEF, as well as some of the hospitals that we are onboarding. We welcome you to be part of this challenge to democratize access to diagnostic health for all in Africa.
Thank you. Thank you. Can you double click on the customer journey? So, for example, I go to a hospital, I get a scan done for my lungs, then what happens after that? And is that data available to other hospitals also, or is just in that hospital? Because a patient goes to different hospitals for different things.
That's a good question. So what you're doing when it comes to that, it's a B2B largely, so we'll not be dealing directly with you as a customer. So but what happens when you go to a hospital, see a doctor who's called a general doctor, who probably thinks he should send you to the lab. So you're told maybe wait a few hours, a few days, depending on the hospital. And you find for instance, in my local hospital, imaging is only done once a week. So you can only go there on maybe Tuesday. If it's on a Wednesday, then they have to give you a physical copy and they tell you the radiologist today is in this hospital. So you have to go there if you need a result. So what we do, we come in at the lab. So when you go to the lab, there's a radiographer and the nurse who takes you through the imaging. And then the radiologist is told the imaging is done, goes to that desktop, looks at it and writes the report. So our software, we deploy it on the console. So that means we upload an encryption on cloud. Your radiologist can access, or any radiologist, it's a marketplace for radiologists, or an Uber for radiologists. That means a radiologist who's online can accept and report. So reporting is now in real time. We reduce turnaround times by helping them automatically segment medical images and NLM for reporting and the screening as well. So that's what we're looking at.
So I understand you're creating a data bank for
yes, and what you're able to do when it comes to that, you can share images with you as a patient, with your referring physician, like a consultant, and they just get an email with a medical image.
So 2 quick questions. How do you take customer consent, patient consent for it?
So in our terms
and the second question, who pays you here?
Yeah, that's a good question. In our terms and conditions, we assume you have consent from the patient as a hospital to use our software. See, like how you're gonna use, if you're gonna be operated on, then you take consent from the patient. So same case. Our typical person who pays is a hospital, but we're finding we're having, and our users are radiologists. So you find the radiologists, simply because of the time we are saving them, they are now coming to us and telling us, I want you to deploy this in the hospital that I am in. But sometimes uploading, or rather onboarding the hospital can be difficult. So we tend to integrate with Dropbox. So the cases that they have been sending on Dropbox, we integrate with Dropbox and they're able to access our software.
I have other questions.
Maybe can you tell us a little bit about the cost advantage from a patient perspective, right? Because we often have this argument across disease areas that we don't have enough physicians, right? But there's also a lot of unemployed physicians, right? So it often comes down more to affordability of the service than anything else. So can you tell us a bit more how, for the end patient, that reduced?
One, they don't have to wait for specific days to visit a facility, or they don't need to travel to a hospital that is in a certain region to be able to get lab results. So you go to your local hospital, even if the radiologist is not there, as far as the equipment is there, we will connect your hospital to a radiologist. So you're able to reduce the time they spend in traveling, waiting for lab results, and also maybe how much they would have spent in addressing a certain disease because they waited so long for lab results, which increased the molarity rate or the extent of which they were affected by a certain disease. So that's what we're looking at when it comes to the
So no price
patient.
reduction?
Price reduction would be, it's up to the hospital, because now if the hospital finds a better turnaround time, then they would reduce the costs, because you see, we're saving costs for them. So maybe they would pass that to the patient. But since we don't directly interact with the patient, it might be difficult for us to make that decision.
Thank you, Winnipeg, Katuri. And this actually reminded me, I attended the San Francisco Startup World Cup final, and the winner of that one basically had an early detection for lung cancer, and that was the winner, which was very interesting. So I don't know if we soon will be solving. You basically can breathe into this device, and in 1 minute, you're able to detect cancer, which is pretty interesting, specifically lung cancer. Anyway, over to you, Goturi.
Thank you very much. I'm Katuri Njogu, CEO and co-founder of VunaPay, where we are linking small-scale farmers to the global economy. 70% of Africans are smallholder farmers, and up to half of them actually sell their produce through agricultural cooperatives. However, these small-scale farmers, when they take their produce to the cooperative, they are paid after 6 months, and I've even seen 13 months. And I said 12 months, but I've seen some people being paid 13 months later. So instead, the farmers actually end up living on very predatory loans, or they undersell to middlemen who will pay them immediately. So our leadership team, we took the best of our experience in finance, technology, innovation from Safaricom, Oracle, JP Morgan, and our lived smallholder experience, and we came up with our model. VunaPay provides instant payment to the farmer as soon as they deliver their produce to the cooperative. And we do this by providing a cooperative management, excuse me, a cooperative management system and a last mile payment link to the farmer. So when this farmer takes their produce to the cooperative, they actually find a clerk that is using the VunaPay system to record that interaction. That way, we know exactly what that farmer is owed in real time. We expose that to a financier who pays the farmer instantly. When it's time for the cooperative to pay at the end of the season, VunaPay facilitates that, and we are able to pay the financier what they are owed. So we partner with agricultural cooperatives. In sub-Saharan Africa alone, there's 54,000 cooperatives, and because usually a cooperative has between 500 to about 10,000, we are targeting about 27 million smallholder farmers. Per year, the produce sold through those 54,000 cooperatives is about 125 billion worth, and you're targeting just 5% of that as transaction volume. So from that transaction volume of 6.3, we usually will charge just a 2% one-off fee to facilitate instant payment. That's our main mode of payment, but we have a few others. We found that when we combine that cooperative management system and the instant payment facilitated by financiers, then you're able to take the market. So we scale through partnerships. For instance, our financing is done by, we've closed a large government fund, and we've also closed a very large financier. We've been in the market for about a year and a half. And in that time, we're already serving 50,000 farmers. We've disbursed about $3 million. Half of that is actually in the last maybe 4 or 5 months. We've onboarded 64 cooperatives. We actually have signed 400 others, but we're in the process of onboarding them. What is interesting is we discovered that in doing this, as we continue to scale the cooperatives, onboarding them, we have built a road, an infrastructure that a lot of other service providers are interested to ride in. From farm inputs, we actually have begun to offer farm input loans, working capital, etc. We have signed the largest insurer in the region to provide insurance services. So it's really a road that we think we can continue to replicate for a lot of other service providers. So I ask you to join us as we harvest a better future. Thank you.
Hi, thank you for this. Few quick questions. What's your default rate now?
Maybe because we think we are lucky, we are currently at 0. But when you look at models, globally that are doing this, we see it at maximum 3%. So we are making room for 3%, but currently we've not had any default.
And if a person is delayed in paying, do you consider that as default or not?
What we do actually is, because we have realized it in agriculture, we have to structure according to seasons. So we don't go in and say, this is when you're supposed to pay. We usually will work with you based on how you have paid when the season comes in, when you get your money. So I think because of our flexibility in structuring the repayment, that's why we haven't had any issues.
And what's the cost of capital at which you're borrowing?
Depends on the financier. I talked, you have two financiers. The government one is as low as 5% on reducing balance, which is like free money in Kenya. But the commercial one is at regular rates, which is about 18%.
And you're giving it out at 2%?
We give it, we actually just only mark up our 2%.
And the tenure of loan is?
Depends. Some is as short as 1 month, because really what we do is we give it to you today based on your expected repayment date. It could be in a week, it could be in 8 months.
And you're not doing market linkages. My guess is market linkages is if you're selling a cucumber at X price, when you harvest it, the price has changed.
Now that is part of our roadmap, where we ourselves might not do the market linkages, but we are negotiating with some people that do market linkages to ride our infrastructure to be able to do that for our cooperatives.
And what's geo-mapping service, please? That's my last one.
Yeah, this is compliance. Part of what we have found easy to roll out because of our infrastructure, the cooperatives. The EU has a regulation, they call the EU Deforestation Regulation, that requires all coffee, cocoa, and a few other value chains that are sold into Europe to prove that they're not farming on formerly forested land. So we have to geomap each of the farms, which is fantastic for us because now we are given an opportunity to collect the data that we need to continue feeding our model.
So maybe, can I take you a bit back to the basics? Maybe it's just me who doesn't yet fully understand. So I understand the farmer brings the produce to the collective, right? The financier are they now funding the collective to pay the farmer, and the collective, once they sell the produce as they have collected it, then pays back the loan? Is that sort of the flow?
At the end of the day, the real borrower, if we really go deep, is the farmer. They're the ones that opt in and take the loan. The cooperatives are actually owned by the farmers. Mm-hmm. So much as we are lending that farmer, not everyone is going to borrow. So the cooperative is not taking the loan. Only that the farmer says, I have delivered this. During the time of payment, because you're the ones who handle that, pay me less this much. So we usually tell them, this is how much you're going to be charged. Do you accept? Once they accept, then we know during the payout, that's when we are going to recover. So really, we are not lending to the cooperative. We still have to do due diligence on the cooperative because they're the ones who are holding the stock at that point.
But essentially it gets repaid once the cooperative then sells the produce, right?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you very much, Zero Bionic, Nora. How are you feeling? Not the people pitching, not the founders. Of course, they're feeling nervous. How's the rest of the room feeling? Are we feeling good? Are you enjoying the pitches? Okay, the judges are nodding. The rest of the room is a sectional nodding. Okay, we're ready for you. And here's the
So I'm partially deaf. So you can imagine, I could hardly follow the proceedings of the day. And it got me thinking, have you encountered any deaf person during the event? None. Yeah. So 4 years ago, I was in an organic chemistry class. I could hear and I could speak, but I didn't understand a thing that was being said. For the past 3 years, I've been moving from school to school with Young Scientists Kenya, training these young students on STEM-related courses. But on one particular session, I was paired to a group of young students, among which some could not hear and some could not speak. So the sign language interpreter simply looked at me, folded his arms and told me, there are no signs for the technical words you're trying to explain. These students are only taught basic human communication. So what I had to do for the subsequent sessions was get my phone, as small as it was at that time, pull out images of what I was trying to explain and the corresponding words, and teach using that. You can imagine, what was meant to be a 1 hour session was 6 hours of frustration. Hello, my name is Nora Kimathi, co-founder at Zero Bionic. And at Zero Bionic, we produce robotic prosthetics that help students living with hearing impairments, enabling them to access STEM-related courses. But when you think about it, a day-to-day normal robotic prosthetic would go for roughly $50,000. Do you think any local person in Africa currently would afford that? As surprising as it may sound, only 6% of these hearing impaired kids are enrolled in schools, and less than 1% get to achieve their career aspired goals. There are some key players in the industry, however, such as Sign.io, that use their flex-powered gloves to translate speech to sign. However, in most African schools, phones are not allowed. So Zero Bionic is currently being tailored to facilitate remote learning, such that one single robotic prosthetic can serve a great number of students at one given point in time. So our system is divided into a 3-tier model consisting of the acquisition of the exoskeleton that goes for $5,000 and the half-sign exoskeleton going for $50,000. We have captive avatars that are used in tech conferences, summits, workshops, in the signing of these complex STEM-related concepts. And then we have the learning platform that is on a subscription-based model consisting of the basic and the advanced. With that, Africa's market currently stands at $200 million, and with the increasing inclusivity policies currently being put in place, the total addressable market in Kenya stands at $17.5 million, and globally, the projections are set to $31 billion. We have currently raised $1,900,000 with the partnerships that we've currently secured with Young Scientists Kenya, NVIDIA, and the organizations that we're currently working with. We've also been able to have various tech conferences, events, and summits with our robotic prosthetics. And we've been able to sell our robotic prosthetics to schools all around Kenya, Africa, and the globe at large. With that, we are selling this robotic prosthetic at an affordable price, owing to the fact that we're using recycled plastics in the manufacturing of our robotic exoskeletons. We are currently training a couple of schools in Kenya, Rwanda, Switzerland. And with that, we've gathered recognition from various organizations such as Kenya Climate Innovation and the Climate Launchpad in our efforts to reduce environmental degradation by over 90% in the recycling of these plastic wastes. We are working with the UNDP, KPMG, and Young Scientists Kenya in our efforts to move from school to school across counties in Kenya, countries in Africa, and in countries outside the continent as a whole. And with that, we're also working with NVIDIA in the manufacturing of our hardware exoskeletons to ensure that every kid in the world is able to have a dream that is enabled by Zero Bionic. Thank you.
Okay, let me clarify the basics, and then you guys ask the difficult question. So the prosthetic you basically send to a school, does that basically translate what a teacher is saying for the kids into the sign language? Is this how it works?
Oh yeah, so how it works is that we have the robotic prosthetic on one end. Let me just pull that up. Yeah, so we have the robotic prosthetic on one end and the learning platform on the other. So as the trainer speaks on one end, that is the trainer or the teacher, as he's speaking on one end, whatever he's speaking is being picked up by the system, that is the robotic exoskeleton, and being signed. So whatever he's speaking is converted into sign language.
Okay. And why wouldn't you just do that once and then share the video with everybody?
So our specific focus is in STEM-related concepts. So we realize that signing STEM concepts is really, really difficult. So you'll find that these students are left out in this specific STEM fields. So with the robotic exoskeletons and in these systems, we are able to iteratively train, refine them so that they can teach these STEM-related concepts in a better way and in a way that is accessible to these students.
Okay, but once they've sort of figured out how to teach it, could it be recorded and then shared more widely, or do you need the prosthetic every time?
Yeah, so
I'm just thinking about sort of scale.
Okay, yeah. So our goal, okay, so for the robotic exoskeletons, they are embedded with a camera. So the camera is more of a way to facilitate two-way communication. So when the trainer is speaking or when he's teaching you, you're able to provide feedback, ask questions, and so there's that form of two-way communication. So
Mhm.
for them, they're also able to access the education space in a way that is similar to a day-to-day normal student.
Okay, got it.
Thank you. So it's lip and face reading, right? That's what
Sorry?
the computer vision is doing, is lip and face syncing and then translating that to hand signal. So is that your IP? Like this transfer of that syncing to hand actions, is that your IP?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's how many languages have you cracked that in? Or is it only in English so far?
So it's currently in English, Kiswahili, and Sheng. So we're working on a multimodal model such that it can be able to accommodate languages such as Afrikaans in South Africa, and also to the various schools that we're moving into Nigeria, so that those languages too can be accommodated.
What's the process of introducing a new language? So if I come in and say use Hindi for this, what would that process look like?
So of training the
I'm trying to understand scalability in different places, right?
Okay. So that's a question that
No problem. Last question. What's your revenue? Are you at revenue stage or you're,
yeah.
you
So,
are? What's your revenue so far again, please? I
our
missed that.
last audited in our last year, we had $315,700
Revenue.
Yeah.
From how many customers?
So we are currently serving a market of over 1 million students across Kenya, Rwanda, and Switzerland.
So who pays you? School pays you or the
Yeah,
student pays?
yeah, the
School
school.
pays you.
Yeah.
So how many schools are these?
So in Africa, 120, and then over 120 actually, and then in Switzerland we are training 8.
And how much in this 100,000, how much do 8 schools of Switzerland pay you?
So in Switzerland we would have that to be.
Is it 40%, 50% less?
Okay. Yeah, that's.
I'm trying to understand, are you able to earn
Definitely.
more money from Europe or
Yeah.
Africa?
Yeah, that will be close to 40%.
Is
Yeah.
from one European country as
Yeah,
opposed to that.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It was aligned with what Mia was asking around why visual versus the prosthesis. When I guess you have people that are paying customers, what's the feedback from them in terms of what they find most appealing about the product? What's the feedback? Any negative feedback either?
Definitely. For these students, they're mostly used to being left out in these STEM related courses. So in terms of them picking it up and integrating it into their systems is kind of like what is the resistance is in that form. But when it comes to them being established in the schools, there's just an insane amount of positive feedback from them. So yeah.
Are these special needs schools, or
Yeah,
those
yeah.
are schools that integrate normal and special needs kids?
Okay, so our target is to ensure that in every classroom with a hearing impaired kid, they are able to access these STEM related courses. So we have our primary focus is definitely the schools that have these special students, but in every classroom that has a hearing impaired kid, that's our focus. We are,
Okay.
yeah,
And
really-
for the schools in Africa, like how do you currently recoup the cost? I think it was 5,000, or is it sort of funded through grants, or how do you fund that portion?
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah. You realize that for most of the schools that we are currently in Africa, we are training them on pro bono. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Thank you so much. Last but not least, Radhika from Dovu.
Hi, everyone. My name is Radhika Bachu, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Ndovu. Sorry about my slide. But in Africa, for the longest time, the narrative has been focused on earning income and not building assets. And the problem with that is that income doesn't create financial freedom. And so currently there's 965 million Africans who work really, really hard, but they don't create any assets that generate them wealth. And this is because traditional investments and savings today are inaccessible. When you go, the minimums are super high, the actual yield you're getting on investments are low, and just to understand them, they're quite complicated. Okay, I'm just gonna do this without the slide. And so really what Dovu does is that we provide easy access to both local and global markets so that these Africans can start creating assets and generate wealth rather than relying on their income. And so Dovu has a bold vision that in the next decade, every African will hold capital markets in their investments. Okay, we're going to give it a... Perfect. Next slide, please. Next slide after this. So how do we do that? We make investing and finance simple. We're the first fintech in East Africa to have launched our own money market fund. Secondly, we're the first company in Kenya to give you access to global funds and shares. And lastly, we layer through our AI investment coach, personal finance that is tailored to your needs so that you can make the right investment decisions to create wealth in your portfolio. Next slide. So really here, this just shows that we've serviced over 160,000 users already. This solution works. It took us a lot of work. It was hard, but we figured it out. And really, the opportunity in Africa is huge because only 1% of Africans have access to capital markets today. And so you can see here, our serviceable market today stands at 85 billion across sub-Saharan Africa. And our goal is to acquire 8% over 7 years. And the most important thing is that the African middle class is rising and the technology usage and smartphone penetration is off the charts. So this market size is going to continue to grow. How do we make money? We earn an assets under management fee for every dollar we manage. When Kenyan shillings or Rwandan francs are being converted into dollars, we earn an FX spread. And also our customers are willing to pay for a financial advisor, so we charge a subscription fee annually. Really, this slide just shows the growth that we've experienced over the last 3 years. The key things I want to shout out is that since we last raised money, we've 18x'd our funded accounts and 34x'd our assets under management. Next slide. But really, it was not just about improving the top line numbers, we also improved the health of our business. And we were able to reduce our customer acquisition cost by 76%, which means we've built a very strong brand through lots of hard work and great customer service. But also, we're able to provide customers and really understand who our customers are. In addition, we're able to 2x our customer lifetime value, which means in the long term, we become a healthier business. We are the first fintech in East Africa to have fund management licenses in 3 markets, Kenya, Rwanda, Uganda, and we've applied for these licensing in 4 other markets. Why? Because this allows us to target a larger pool of individuals. However, we recognize that 85% of Africa is informal, and in order for us to get to those informal individuals, we actually need to leverage existing partnerships in this market. So what we have done is we have, skip the slide, it's not part of the, no, come down, sorry. So what we have done is we've partnered with several telcos, banks, scale-ups, so that we can embed our solution into the existing user journey and acquire their customers. And as a result of that, you can see that this can lock a potential revenue of 207 million, because these partnerships are across multiple countries, and embedding savings and investments in it is an easier way to acquire a customer at a much cheaper rate. And then lastly, because I think we're out of time, I guess with next slide. The reason we're the right team and company to do this is because we have able to de-risk our business from a regs perspective, which is the largest risk for a fintech. Secondly, we've built our tech in-house, which allows us to innovate and move quickly. And lastly, we've really levered this, embedding our solution in existing partnerships, which means we're able to scale faster. And we're the right team. We've worked at global institutions such as BlackRock, Deloitte, but we also have local experience, which means that we're able to scale and execute much faster, and we're backed by some great names. So Dovu's vision is bold. In the next decade, we expect every African to be an investor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Erica. So what's the IRR usually a person can look at by going through you as compared to other options which exist?
A great question. So we are the second best performing fund in Kenya for the money market fund. It's 13.6%. But last year, on average, for the dollar portfolio, our customers earned 18% on the dollar.
And what's the best option?
The best option for the dollar portfolio, we're here, it's us, but for the money market fund, it's 15.2. And the reason they're better than us is because they have larger volumes, so they can negotiate better rates with counterparties.
The customer acquisition cost here, are you happy with it? It's still high.
Yes, so I think it's relatively high. And the reason being it's because building trust in this market is very difficult. And also I wish, and to build trust and do that, you need to raise a lot of money. And so we've brought it down, and now we're doing internal growth hacking strategies to bring it further down. And I think because we've been in business for 3 years now, that referrals tend to be more organic rather than trying to push people to buy it. So yes, our customer, just to compare to US though, and other Western markets, our CAC is relatively low. But for this market, I do think it's high. And the goal is to get it down to $3.
And you charge $4.5 per $100 invested or earned?
Invested, but it's charged annually, and so it's it comes out of your earnings essentially. Yeah.
When does the customer see it? While investing or while taking out?
So at the moment,
I'm trying to understand, when do you realize the money?
Yeah, so actually at the moment it's when you invest. However, we're changing that to be monthly. So let's say you take $100 today and you're being charged anywhere from 2 to 4.5%. That will be taken monthly, but annualized. So 4.5% annualized, but at the moment it's taken up front, which is not a good user experience.
So I was wondering what's the reasoning behind? Usually when you realize profit is when a customer pays the platform. Why is this different here?
Because initially we didn't have the tech to build out that fees table, but now we've done it and it's being launched at the end of July.
you spoke about some partnership. Probably I misunderstood it. Were you talking about white labeling?
So white labeled, correct. So for example, we're working with Airtel, Mcopa. They're taking our money market fund and they're labeling it as their own. So it'll be like Mcopa Save, powered by Ndovu. And they have 6 million active users. They embed it into their solution. They've got a captive audience. And then we are the back end that provides them the savings product. And they earn by paying us by a revenue share on the actual product, but we also earn a monthly fee.
Is that good for the customer? Like, are they, or it's the same money? Like, you earn less if you white label it?
Correct. So we earn less. It's just so the customer doesn't pay for the actual embeddedness. It's we share the revenue that we would have made on the money market fund, as an example, with the partner Mcopa.
How has your ARPU increased over the last year?
So there's 3 things. So we user behavior changes in the app, so reminding the user to come back every single month and being quite meaningful about it, creating gamification within the app. Secondly, we understood that we are able to upsell our users additional products. So today, 30% of the clients who find us on the cash fund, which is quite popular in Kenya, actually 30% of them are upsold to a global fund, and we make more money on the global. So internally, we have targets on getting our money market fund users to buy 1, 2, or 3 products, a normal USD user to buy 1, 2, 3, 4 products. So it's being able to bring them back on the money market fund. And then lastly, the subscription is what really moves the dial. So we recognize that our users are willing to have a relationship manager / financial advisor handhold them. So they can have you on speed dial to say, hey, the markets went down, what shall I do?
So you don't have your own investment analysis, do you?
We do.
And a customer has to pay for it, or that's inbuilt? Is
No,
there a
so
cost attached to it?
no. So the value Dovu brings is that you can imagine there are 6,000 funds in the universe. We do investment analysis to look at what sectors and what partners we'd like to work with. Is it BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street? We have an investment committee that reviews that on a monthly basis, and we move funds in and out as we see fit. But in terms of more hands-on approach where a customer is investing $1 million shillings with us, they'll say, hey, I have new money, but I know this is my investment strategy. What should I do? Or, hey, the markets are down. Do I sell? We send that communication anyways, but our users are willing to pay $24, which is inexpensive for them, just to have someone on speed dial. Oh, stop. Sorry, guys.
Thank you so much. Please give all the founders a round of applause. I do want to give a shout out to Melanie from Melanin Capital, who is our carbon neobank. Will not be able to pitch today, but I believe all the judges have seen the pitch. I will kidnap the judges so we can have a quick conversation outside, pick the winner, and then when we come back, we'll get a couple of words, sentiments from the judges, and then we'll pick the winner. And then we are standing between you and happy hour, and everyone will be going to happy hour right after. Please give a round of applause for the judges. And over to you for the hard work of the Lord of keeping people entertained.
Thank you. You know, the work of a judge is not easy. I'm so glad I'm not a judge, because I already have friends who have pitched here, so I'd be very biased. So kindly, I know we are a few minutes to our happy hour. Tell your neighbor happy hour. So please stand. Let's be on our feet, please. Let's be on our feet. I know it's been a long day. I want you to walk around. I want you to walk around and say hi to someone you haven't met. And in the next 4 minutes, just tell them what you do. They could be your next big client. Remember we said that you have to tell someone what you do.
Feeling my way through the darkness, guided by a beating heart. I can't tell where the journey stars. They tell me I'm too young to understand. They say I'm caught up in a dream. Life will pass me by if I don't open up my eyes. So that's fine by me. So wake me up when it's all over. When I'm wiser and I'm older. All this time I was finding myself and I didn't know I was lost. So wake me up when it's all over. When I'm wiser and I'm older. All this time I was finding myself and I didn't know I was lost.
All right, let's take our seats, please. Let's take our seats, please. And please still sit with the neighbor you've just found. Sit close to them. At the back, if you can hear me, clap once. If you can hear me, clap twice. Now, here's the thing. Other members. Now, here's the thing. You have been told, your neighbor has told you their name and their business, isn't it? If you went to Google them, what would you find? If you went to Google them. So if you're Googling Amos Ngahu or Money Gossip, what are you gonna find? Just do that exercise. Tell me what you see. It's a very good way to remember that person. Just Google. And if you don't have a partner, please Google me. Google Amos Ngahu. Tell me what you see. Just Google them. All right. And while at it, I've been notified to explain, because we might be having farmers in the hall, that AI is not related to animals. It's artificial intelligence. So I've been told to clarify that. All right, what have you found about your neighbor when you Google them? Something nice? Do they have a scandal? You know? And if you find, you look at the search, the first search is what people look for. So I've been told someone is looking for my age. So there's Amos Ngaho's age. What have you found about them? Yeah, that is what it means for you to do something about your networks. Let people know who you are. Are the judges ready? Judges, someone let the judges know they have 2 more minutes.
I tried carrying the weight of the world, but I only have 2 hands. Hope I get the chance to travel the world, but I don't have any plans. Wish that I could stay forever this young, not afraid to close my eyes. Life's a game made for everyone, and love is the prize. So wake me up when it's all over. When I'm wiser and I'm older. All this time I was finding myself, and I didn't know I was lost. So wake me up when it's all over. When I'm wiser and I'm older. All this time I was finding myself, and I didn't know I was lost. Didn't know I was lost. I didn't know I was lost. I didn't know I was lost.
Are we ready for the results? I don't think you're ready. Are you ready for the results? There's a table that is not ready for the results. I already have the results. Now, I would like you to know that the following results are based on my own opinion. So anyway, just a few minutes, the judge will be with us shortly. So they've requested for 2 more minutes. I think it was a tough one. Those were very good presentations. All right, and right after the announcement, let me have your attention, please. We will all exit after the winners have been declared. We will all walk out, pick a cup of tea so that there is a fresh setup for the happy hour. Is that a good thing? Is that a good thing, members? All in favor say aye. Thank you for the 2 of you who said so. So we are still waiting for the judges.
Them as well. So quick comments about everything, and then we will be announcing the winner right after that. I will start here.
Okay. Hi, guys. Okay. Too many familiar faces, I guess. But yeah, it's been great seeing you guys pitch. So many great ideas. It was not at all easy, and honestly, all of you guys are winners. I think you can tell just by the fact that all of you even have been invested in by the table. So yeah, all winners, and yeah, all the best.
Love and kisses. Well, I would say I really love the sort of resilience that you guys all have shown. A lot of you guys have been around for a while. It's been a very difficult market, and sort of just sticking to it, trying to solve the problem, and showing like the traction that you've seen is really, really awesome. And great to see how we are building the ecosystem like that.
Yeah, echoing everything else said, it's great to see Kenyan innovation solving Kenyan problems, but also world problems. And I think we need more and more of that. So everyone here should take inspiration from these great founders, and kudos for all the hard work you've done.
Thank you, everything what they said. Thank you, thank you.
I think by now the winners know themselves, eh?
Got the instruction to do what I want, which is a very broad instruction. This is a very hard job of picking the winner. I promise you, it was such an intense debate. So Couple of things. We're really excited to have the founder that will be picked today to represent Kenya on the global stage. So you will be carrying all the other founders in the ecosystem with you by whatever presentation you're going to make. So I hope we see this as a stepping stage for opening up the ecosystem to many other founders so that we can start to get more global interest from like a capital perspective, mentorship perspective, all types of resources. I know we all want to go, so I will quickly cut to the chase. Drum rolls, everybody. So the winner of the...
Ashley, excuse me.
Oh my God.
I think guys need some tea. We can go for a tea break, then we come back. Is that okay, guys? All right, just go ahead.
Okay, so the winner of the competition is Bupas. We
No matter what, got money on my mind, I can never get up. And every time I step up in the middle, everybody hands go up. And they stay there, and they stay there, and they stay there. Up, down, that's all I do is win, win, win. And if you going in, put your hands in the air, make them stay there. Ludacris going in on the verse, cause I never been defeated and I won't stop now. Keep your hands up, get them in the sky for the homies that ain't making it, my folks locked down. I never went nowhere, no they saying Luda's back. Blame it on that contour, look call it Ludiac. And I'm on this foolish track, so I spit my foolish flow. My hands go up and down, like strippers' booties go. My verse is still...
In competitions like this, you pitch and you look at every other presentation that come after you, you are like, wow, they are the best. So all of you did your very best. As I always say, like, you know, we are solving bigger problems in African markets and you can't do it alone. So if you saw on our slide, Bupas, we've partnered with so many people, whether it's corporate, whether it's startups like MTech, whether it's investors like Nick and the panel here as well. Everyone needs each of us to build. And I hope that we don't stop from here. The challenge is on us now to represent Kenya on the global stage, and we take that with great gratitude and great challenge. But we encourage all of you to work together, and I hope that at some point we get to work together to build a better ecosystem. Thank you.
So I want to say congratulations to Bupas. I want to say congratulations to all the other 9 founders who made it to the top 10. This was amazing. And I'm going to make a bold declaration here with no backup. We will support the full flight and accommodation for the team that will come to San Francisco. And I'm calling any ecosystem partners who want to support Silicon Exchange in that mission to get the founders there to please join me in making that dream a reality. We have to put money where our mouth is. We want to see representation on a global ecosystem. We need to support our founders. And we've been working with the Kenyan consulate based out of LA for a couple of different projects for the ecosystem. So I know visas have been a huge nightmare. Pegasus will be helping us with that as well in terms of invitations and all of that stuff. So let's get started. Let's get working as soon as possible. Let's prepare them for the best speech suited for a global audience. I'm very, very grateful for every single one of you that has worked with us. The media team, that was fantastic. Kenya for having us, for the many sleepless nights that this team has had to put this event together. I thank you so much. And this was amazing. So enjoy your happy hour, and I hope everyone's feeling nice. For the top 9, the rest of the 9, we will be in touch in what a reward looks like. I've heard some people on the table whisper some things. I will not make the declaration here, but there will be something. Thank you so much, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ashley, CEO, and for the good job you've done. Thank you, judges, for the excellent work. I know it wasn't easy. Thank you even for you who's here, who's still here. Thank you so much. So I'm going to request you to just pick your bags, pick your valuables. Sorry? Yes, and the judges, please, while others are packing, judges, please come and stand here. We need to take a photo. And the founders, and including you, Mr. Bupas. Congratulations. so that we take one photo. So after this, we are going to go pick a cup of tea. Then they will rearrange the hall so that we can enjoy ourselves. So thank you so much. Where is the cameraman? No, we could be assembling and the cameraman is not here. Cameraman, where is? Thank you, sir. So some can step here on top, some down. Just use the entire step. On this side, you have to be on this side.
Celebrate. Celebrate good times. Come on. Let's celebrate. There's a party going on right here. A celebration to last throughout the years. So bring your good times and your laughter too. We gon' celebrate your party with you. Come on now. Celebration. Let's all celebrate and have a good time. Celebration. We gon' celebrate and have a good time. It's time to come together. It's up to you. What's your pleasure? Everyone around the world. It's a celebration. It's a celebration. Let's celebrate.
Clock strikes upon the hour, and the sun begins to fade. Still enough time to figure out how to chase my blues away. I'm gonna wait until now. It's the light of day that shows me how. And when the night falls, loneliness falls. I'm in love and lost my senses, spinning through the town. Simulator, the fever burns, and I wind up feeling down. I need a man who'll take a chance on love that burns hot enough to last. So when the night falls, my lonely heart falls. With somebody, yeah, with somebody who loves me, with somebody, I wanna be with you, with somebody who loves me.